Markets poised to start another very busy week to the upside. You have a gap up here for the S&P 500. Here's the look at the Nasdaq. Actually, at this point, poised to open a little bit lower, but you do have SPY strength. You also have Dow strength quite significantly here. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average ETF. Nice look to the upside for this one as well. Now to the downside, as these other names trade higher, is oil. USO significantly lower. We know that President Trump has claimed that the U.S. could hold off on some strikes in Iran so they can hopefully make some deal talks. Let's talk about some economic data to watch out for today as well. You are going to get some employment data later in the week, starting with JOLTS job openings tomorrow at 10 a.m. But today you've got U.S. S&P Manufacturing PMI at 9:45 a.m., ISM Manufacturing PMI at 10 a.m. Nothing massive, but a couple numbers to be aware of. We do have something pretty significant, though, after the bell. We'll shout out to Sean on this one. Palantir, PLTR, they're reporting earnings after the bell today around 4:05 p.m. So Alex Karpenko hopefully can pull out a beat and impress investors. Currently poised to actually open a little bit higher here for PLTR. We do have some pre-market earnings before the bell, including the likes of Tyson, but you have big moves on catalysts for names like Alibaba, AstraZeneca, GameStop. There's a lot to talk about this morning. For that, we'll go to Sharif. Good morning, Sharif. How was your weekend?
It was great. Thank you for asking, Adara. Yes, as you mentioned, there's a lot to talk about today. You got USO already here, 6 3/4 in the negative, as President Trump says there could be some possible negotiations. He also said the Strait was going to be open today and that they agreed to no nuclear weapons. So we'll see how long that one lasts. We're also looking at a big mega merger here. AstraZeneca and Bristol Myers Squibb, kind of a tale of two stories. AZN down 4 1/3 as they're going to be the acquiring party, and BMY up 4 2/3 as they're going to be acquired. As Adara mentioned, Quen 3.8 max. That's what they're calling this one. Another LLM coming out of China. Well discussed, I guess, on X for some new features. You also have Micron and company. All the chips, they're quite weak this morning. Micron's down about 5%. We also have SpaceX tomorrow. Palantir after the bell today. SpaceX tomorrow, of course. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And the cybersecurity names continue to be strong here. Pandub up nicely here, about 3% in the pre-market, as it looks like maybe yet another frontier LLM escaped and started going rogue and hacking random things. And GameStop, they're announcing a $1.4 billion exchangeable note into common stock. Adara, we know that he wants to buy eBay, so he keeps diluting the shareholders here to get more shares. I don't know how I feel about this.
And it's funny, too, because eBay actually also gapped down, though completely unrelated to GameStop. They had a downgrade. So I think we'll definitely be discussing GameStop later in the show, because I'm sure we all have thoughts here on Ryan Cohen's strategy. But in the meantime, I want to mention what happened in Blue Ocean last night as well, because as Sharif mentioned, you have a lot of weakness in these memory-related plays, and you're seeing a lot of these plays we're trading here in terms of highest notional volume. Last night in Blue Ocean, you've got Micron and SanDisk at number 1 and 2 when it comes to notional volume on Blue Ocean. Then you've got Direction Daily Semiconductor Bull ETF, SOXL. In third place, another memory name here. In fourth place, SK Hynix. And you've got the South Korea ETF in fifth. There's going to be more memory-related names if we go forward here to seventh and eighth place. You've got DRAM, which, of course, memory ETF, and a South Korea ETF in eighth place there. So you've got a lot of memory names being traded quite heavily last night in Blue Ocean. Let's see what happens, though, in today's trading. And we'll start with saying good morning to Sean, who's back with us after taking Friday off, and Neil. Good morning to both of you. How are your weekends?
Yes. Good morning. Yeah, good weekend. Good start for Apple, too. That needs to get said.
Ooh,
Apple.
What's Apple doing?
So obviously Apple had earnings on Friday. Well, had earnings on Thursday and was down huge on Friday, but caught a serious bid in the afternoon. Like, it was off to the races.
Yeah, right at
Friday
300.
afternoon.
That must have been huge.
It bounced right off 300. Now we're at 312. It's in the green. Relative strength with Apple. So they got disappointed at first, but then they buy it up after. Seems like it'll be like the Google or the Alphabet earnings, where you head down early, but then the buyers decide to come in. You got that KIDZ small capper is moving around again, so that should be in play. For those that like the fun of it, the sad thing is the chips are bad this morning, because the market's up, oil's down. You want to be happy about that, but almost all of the chip names are looking pretty weak, and all-time lows for SpaceX. Again, stop me if you've heard this one before. So SpaceX shares being sold at a discount, just like any Jays player that anybody wants to take.
So the thing is this a discount for SpaceX?
Well,
yeah.
No, it isn't. I'm just making.
I don't know. And was that a discount for Gosman? I don't know.
Nah.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome everybody to the show. It's holiday here in Canada today. I don't think I have my stream deck open. So, but yeah, welcome everybody. Holiday time in Canada, so you won't see Randy or anybody around here today. I think it was just a civic holiday.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
We're joking about the fact that it has no name on Friday. It's just
civic holiday. But yeah, I was saying it's too bad that I wasn't clued in really to the markets on Friday, because I would have been dip buying that Apple like crazy. But just like we did on Google, right? We had an opportunity to get that Google at 320 there, and it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 7 straight up days on Google. I could see the same thing happening for Apple, there. So we'll see if this can wind up happening again. And as I was saying, man, that must have been a pretty good money-making opportunity down there at $3 right there. Like, not only does it cut, like, the best part about this trade is it came in, and I'm sure you and Joe had this. I mean, or obviously.
I'm not on my desk at that.
No. I mean, at 9:40. I'm saying right there. This is why you're definitely, hopefully, you're at your desk here. But yeah,
that was the shorts in the morning.
Yeah. But I'm saying like
long.
the key level 300 there, that would have been something to look at. Now, I mean, obviously, whether or not you take it or not, but it bounces there, and then it bounces again. 300 here, 12:30, and then again at 2 o'clock. But what a great bounce, as Neil mentioned.
I don't think Joe traded it. The only long was actually the 01 half into V1.
Oh, perfect. Nice.
So because the first, like this first bounce, the one at 9:39.
Yeah, everything's happening.
It caught a crazy program buy.
Yeah.
It was wild. But the crazy thing about the move up.
It's nice they gave different opportunities out.
The bounce in Apple is like all of the earnings names that were gapped down.
Yeah.
Were like Roblox was getting.
You got Amazon too.
Destroyed. Roblox was getting destroyed.
Yeah, no, it's down 30%.
And then Reddit was going crazy as well. Like you had both of those names that were looking so nasty, and it looked like Apple was having the same fate in the first couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden buyers just said, no, not Apple.
It's always easier to look at it afterwards. I mean, when everything's bleeding down. Yeah, this Reddit chart is actually. Reddit's a name I want to get involved in, so that's a good little level down there at 140 right now. So you're holding 120. I mean, I still think Reddit, all I'm using are these LLMs, and all they're doing is scraping Reddit every time, for all the stuff I'm asking it for. But we'll have to wait to see. Yeah, Reddit's a good name. I think that needs to be bought up. And then today, the number one trade idea on my list today is going to be Alibaba. I mean, was sort of been talking about this for a very long time, and it's well appreciated now, man. I mean, that $90 up to 130. We talked about the tokenization and what this is going to mean, because they can make these models way cheaper, apparently, than anything that we're putting out over here. And most people just will use a commercial-based large language model. Obviously, Claude and Anthropic and all that are going to look to link in with some of the corporate side of things. But everything that us simple-minded people are using, this Quen can easily top out there and get us answers to, what restaurant should I go to in Toronto tonight? Stuff like that, like very basic questions. So we'll end up seeing what happens with Alibaba. And today they opened it up for coding as well. So, but yeah, these, I don't know exactly why today we're getting such negativity in the chip space, but another 3% there for Intel there today. I don't know what Micron wound up doing on Friday, but like that's now 780, and that's down another. Oh yeah, I guess they had a bad day on Friday as well. So it's down another 5% here today. Yeah, it's not looking great, man. And then you mentioned SpaceX, which always brings us back to Tesla. Yeah. That's now at 311. So we'll see if that can get a 300 bounce. We've sort of seen that as well. Oh, there it is there on, see, yeah. So isn't that funny? Both Apple and Tesla, they're basically the exact same trade as a big tank early. For no reason, though, on Tesla, right? They've already reported.
And then NVIDIA double tapped 200. This was like an afternoon. It went right to 200. So those names were going down to 300.
Right.
NVIDIA right at the open went to 200 exactly, and then it double tapped it in the afternoon. It was a good short, but then it caught like some crazy bid. Like there were crazy bids in the afternoon. It was the end of the month, so
yeah.
So like it was like just trading perfectly down from 200, like an easy short, and then all of a sudden
imbalances.
It was before the imbalance.
No, I know, but maybe but must have been a buy. Was it a buy imbalance?
Yeah, there was some buy imbalance.
Yeah, so some people probably.
So that Apple.
So here we go, Westermeyer. I guess you guys always talk about what St. Louis is his team, right? I guess so. Congrats on the Jays win. You guys both. I don't know. Is that you and Joe? Were you guys talking about this on Friday?
No.
Both get dinner on him. Is he coming through?
So we had a double or nothing bet because of the Bills Chiefs. And so I won that bet, and then I was like double or nothing because the cards were coming here. Whoever wins the series, and so because he's coming here, he's like, well, if he loses, then he'd take us all out.
When is he coming?
I have to double check.
Well, anyways, 42 months. Yeah, regardless,
he's coming.
He'll let us know, but there it is. So I want to say thank you to 42 months. I mean, I think it's probably been longer than that, but thank you for everything. And yeah, because I feel like we've had these 8 balls, which was provided by.
It's been longer than that, Daniel.
I think so. I would think so. But anyways, shout out to all of our members there this weekend. And yeah, my voice is getting a little off, but of course, whenever we go somewhere, we try to accomplish something. And here it is. So we won.
The gear.
Gia played amazing. She had one game. She had a single, double, triple. She had a home run the next game. And here's the rest of the girls just raising up the trophy there again. So defending champs in Canada. But we were lucky because it was supposed to rain like crazy.
I guess it didn't give me rain.
And it didn't.
Oh, wow.
So, and it rained a little bit on our way home. Here was the first game.
Boring here.
There's my little hitting net there. There's our first game. And, same shorts on Thursday that are on Sunday right there. So this is had to wash that up over the weekend. But so that was a lot of fun. So we did that, team dinner on Saturday night, and all the girls love it. I had to tell them they had to get out of the pool though, on Friday night where we were in there a little early. We had an early game on Saturday. So so it was a lot of fun, and came back yesterday. And now a lot of them stayed because it's a long weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
In Canada. So, but we're here working.
For some people, it's a long weekend.
We're here working. She got player of the game one game, which was really nice, and then we won in the final, so defending champs there. So it was really nice. And it was really nice too because it's so funny. We traveled all the way to Ottawa, and then in the finals we just played a Royal York team. So that's a team that we played before. So we beat a bunch of teams in the Eastern Ontario near Ottawa there. And then I didn't go anywhere. We just went to Canada, so it was nice. Okay. But we didn't go. I've seen Parliament many times, so
there's not as much to see in Ottawa as you would think. It's not bad. But
they have the river there. Is really nice. I think it's okay.
It's all right.
I don't know. It's not as nice as Boston, of course, right, Joe?
Joe's hating on Boston.
Oh well, if you've been to the nation's capital, you probably wouldn't want to go. You probably wouldn't want to go back.
Well,
and then shout out.
Nothing special about it.
No, it's actually. It's not very. It's nice, but it's nothing. Once you're there, you're there. Like I don't know. I've never been to Washington D.C., so I don't know. I guess once you see but Washington was riddled with crime.
But also much bigger. Like Ottawa's.
It's small. I don't even know. Maybe it was a couple really 100,000 people. I don't even know if there's
really
even that
small
much.
Today.
But we're right beside. Like our hotel is right beside where the Senators play and everything. So that was really nice.
Boo, Senators.
Well, yeah, they lost. Their Brady Kachuk went to Florida, to Miami. And I said to Gia, I was like, look, if you were playing professional hockey and you could live right here in Canada and look around, or you could live in Miami, Florida, and play hockey. So I was like, so what choice do you think the American Brady Kachuk chose? And he could go play with his brother.
Yeah,
as well.
That's an easy call.
Yeah, easy. We have a lot of friends in Canada. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a small town. And it's, these hockey players, it's like, and in the winter, that would be a disaster. Like, it's, anyways, whatever.
Yeah, it gets real there.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's true.
What's up, Others Inc. and everybody that's with us here today. So, the voice will be a little bit crackly there, but the trades will be popping off. So, don't worry about that.
Mike Peter Ryder's already up in here.
Mike Peter Ryder? I never heard of that guy before.
But pointing out something true. So, Japan is America's problem. Well, they're everybody's problem.
Well, America is every country's problem because the minute that they want to get involved in something, they get involved. But what happened with Japan?
So the U.S. stepped in to help out with some currency intervention, mostly because. So the way you have to look at it like this: it's easier for them to sell euros to buy yen than it is to have Japan sell treasuries and push yields even higher. That's basically what it comes down to. So it's like, you need to do this. Well, you probably do need to do it because the alternative down the line ends up being a little bit worse. They don't want, you can already see, like we're talking about, we already got rates so high, like the 30-year is literally breaking out like it's some meme stock right now. So it is what it is. And it's not the first time that this sort of thing is happening. I don't think it'll be the end of the story either, but yeah. So USD yen is going to be a topic of discussion for sure. And whether it's that this week, Palantir, tonight, actually after the bell, SpaceX, the fact that the Fed doesn't want to do meetings anymore, or doesn't wants to do less meetings. I guess not meetings. They want to do less meetings. So there's a lot. There's a lot this week to cover. And obviously, we'll have the trading action for you and some small cappers that are running around, because I know Sharif has to have trades on kids because he's contractually obligated.
I don't mind adding HYFM to my contractual obligation list here, seeing that it's up 500% here to start the morning. What a looker. This bad boy here was south of $1 when we started the breakout. That was at around 7:30 this morning. We just got into $4, so it's really ripping up here. There's a lot of consolidation between 3 and 4, with I'd say the majority of the prints a little bit below that 6 2/3. That's HYFM for anybody who's following along. And then the second leading gapper, Adara, YYAI, but that just lost the volume weighted average price. It's also putting in some lower highs. Perhaps the best trade is behind this one. UPC broke out on Friday as well, right at 4 o'clock, but it did gap up and continued to gap up at 4 a.m., but giving back some now, again, below view up here, Adara.
Yeah, I remember YYAI actually on our watch list. Couldn't find any news on it, but it does have a really small float and market cap. We're talking under 1 million for both, so be aware of the float and market cap size there. Let's take a look here, though, at vastly larger names. We've got these memory names here. So we talked about some of the earnings that are going to be later this week. SanDisk and WDC, both memory names, also reporting this week. And this whole sector took quite the tumble last week. Looks like they might continue that weakness today. In addition to, as Sharif mentioned, a lot of these chip names trading lower.
Adara, we lost over $1 trillion in market cap from the recent sell-off in the semis as a group. So to put it lightly, there was blood in the street here. Look, investors are growing increasingly worried over of course, data center and AI capex as we continue to see earnings report after earnings report guide up in how much money they're going to spend rather than, being a little bit thrifty. You're also getting pressure rising here from the emergence of Chinese chips, CXMT, as well as last week, we also got possibly a competitor to ASML from China, right, for deep ultraviolet lithography. Now, don't forget, guys, that ASML is not on its own when it does this. Carl Zeiss is also very important with the mirrors. That's another supply chain bottleneck. So we need to view this in context. Yes, it does move the market in the short to intermediate term, but the longer term trend, I think, stays intact there.
You'll have to wait and see what happens here for these memory names and chip plays. Which names in the sector are you guys looking at today?
I think similar to Friday, DRAM for sure, and then Intel. Intel after their earnings, which was a good quarter for Intel. But when you look at what's been going on with, let's just start with Micron, because I think that's where everyone, I guess here it's kind of the epicenter. I mean the U.S., but all of them same profile. It was an absolute dump fest on Friday. It was the ultimate false break. And then how much are we going to give back from that ramp job Thursday that they had? Because it was such a strong day. Like you went basically like a $130 move on Micron. And what was so crazy about the move on Thursday, it was trending up so heavily in the pre-market that I can't think of a time where something had been trending that way and then was such a clean breakout. So everything told you, if you liked the long, you were thinking dip buys on Thursday. There weren't any. It was all just breakaways over and over. And then it was the complete opposite on Friday, where you just had to have one. DRAM, I was looking at DRAM short, but it didn't really matter. Like everything you had was, you could literally short anything at 9:30, typically on Friday, and you were probably winning. A few names out there might have been strong. But in the bigger context, it's the fact that we're now gapped down through again. Like we're challenging to give up that entire Thursday move, and as long as we hold underneath, so for Micron it'll be 820. For DRAM, it's this $50 level, exactly where it pulled into on Friday. If we don't regain that, you're threatening losing a bit of that gap. And the crazy thing about this is you're doing it with what had been strong earnings. You got Intel, another stock that did a false break. What you thought had happened was you get the report, it's a good report, but they're selling it off because that ambiguous CapEx thing with Intel. And then Thursday gets this big recovery. It's like, all right, there's your cooling off period after earnings. It's going to resume. Nope, we're right back into the downtrend. So when you look at a lot of these names, they've been in a downtrend from the highs back in like mid-June, like early July or late June. And it just hasn't been any kind of a real sustained bounce. Maybe 1 or 2 days, but then we just start to head lower. And Intel, sort of the same thing here, for sure. So it is what it is, looking short again.
All right. Yeah, we're going to have a couple names. I got Intel on my list as well. We got some Apple looking at that. But right now, we're going to go back over to Joe and figure out what's on his mind with the early options action.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend, but let's get right into things here, guys. We're going to be looking at some options activity as we typically do around the 8:20 hour. Now, guys, Palantir reporting after the bell, so this is a name that we want to focus on. And it has been beaten up over the past couple of months, down 45% off of the all-time highs. But I do believe we can see a little bit of a rebound here in PLTR after the bell, guys. So our open interest sitting around 9,130 in volume, 20,000 open and closed on Friday's session, that is, guys. But keep in mind, we're going to be looking at this $130 strike price expiring this Friday. Now, as for our bid in the ask, this is a relatively liquid underlying asset. Now, when we're getting into our Greeks, don't forget they're going to be heavily fluctuating throughout the earnings report and after. So you want to take into consideration what I believe is one of the most important Greek metrics leading into the earnings report, and that is going to be your implied volatility. We'll get to that momentarily, but first things first, let's take a look at our delta, our rate of change here, and our gamma exposure. 38 cents here on the delta side of things, and then our gamma looking at around 2 cents there. So nothing drastic, but that can most definitely pick up in the near future. But once again, as I was just mentioning, at the money IV is something that we're going to want to keep our eyes on, and even out of the money IV as well too. So you're going to see an increase within premium leading into this earnings report, guys. So keep an eye out for this largest supply zone on Palantir at this $130 strike price, guys. Still slightly OTM, but keep an eye out just in case we do exceed that expected move. All right, moving forward, let's take a look at the overall market here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be taking a gander at this $690 strike price, guys. Open interest quite substantial. As I was running through the expiration cycles, once again expiring this Friday, this is the most amount of size that I've seen on the Nasdaq through multiple expiration cycles and through strike prices as well too. All right, so we're going to be expiring on Friday, and then you can see the increase within the spread of the bid and the ask, guys. A lot wider than what we're used to typically seeing. I mean, we can look at a $5 spread, but this one a little bit more than that. All right, so 33,000 contracts open, still at this $690 marker, and then as for open and closed contracts, we're sitting at 14,000 at the 690 level. Now, as for our delta metric, guys, 47 cents, relatively high here, closer to at the money for this specific contract. Now, as for your gamma exposure, relatively light, but something that we can focus on, and I often talk about this, is that when we see an increase in implied volatility within the Nasdaq and the major averages themselves, uptick in implied volatility could typically mean and indicate that we are seeing some more downside and some more volatility within the underlying assets themselves. I mean, the holdings within the Nasdaq. So the way that I would look at it is we had an example with Palantir earnings report, so that's an exception. But if you see an increase in IV on the Nasdaq on the SPY throughout your contracts, then say, hey, you look at the bigger picture of things, you can potentially determine if we are going to be bullish or bearish. All right, guys. Now, as for this contract itself, a little choppy on Friday's session, even though right out of the gate, you do happen to get an 83% return going from $4.19 all the way up to $7.69 where we closed that. But through the middle of the session, it goes from $4 all the way north of $12 there. There's a little bit of a wick past that $1,200 marker. So keep an eye on the Nasdaq, guys. See if we can find a little bit of a rally here this morning. Palantir after the bell. Let's see if we run into that 130 supply zone. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Thank you there, Joe. Yeah, Palantir, it's a weird one, man, because it's up 2 points today. That's good. But you look at it as a software name relative to some of the other moves that have happened recently. Like, the whole space has been so beaten up. But you look at like a ServiceNow, which is Well, that's not split adjusted, which is significantly off the lows and actually in a little bit of an upward trend. Like its most recent bounce is over 20%. We've seen Microsoft get a little bit of a battle back, but Palantir, yes, up 2 points today, looking pretty good, but it hasn't really broken its downward trend. So maybe they need the earnings to go ahead and do that. It's a weird one because it had the weakness with the software names, but isn't really catching the bid as they're getting a relief rally. It makes you wonder if that silly over-leveraged guy didn't have enough Palantir in there, because effectively it was just chips unwind and a lot of the software names coming back to the upside. This is one that needs to finally regain that 50 period and then break out from there. It's been able to get over it, but then once it makes a top over the 50 period, it's like that is the high and it can't break it. Like that is the high and it can't break it. It makes a top, but then it can't break out above that top. At least it gives it an obvious setup to pull after earnings.
Yeah, look, I really, Alice Karp came out last earnings report and called it an absolute beast of a report, but the market still sold it off. I really like their AIP, and they have a huge moat around them. The government tailwinds are right there. These guys have over $2 billion in cash and zero debt. Like they're going to win. The problem is the multiple, around $80 or 80 PE 80. So that's the problem with Palantir right now, is that it still is highly valued, and it's not. They're going to put up a great report. It's just does the space right now garner that kind of a PE when you're getting sort of a washout and you're having to get an NVIDIA that's under a 20, and a Google. That's why we scooped up some Google right down there at 320 as well. Just the values, and even a Meta, with its current PE. There is some growth potential here with Palantir. The commercial acceleration is really what we're looking for tonight. We know they have the government contracts. Can they get into the commercial side stronger than they have been? And they have been. They've been growing that at 3x. But I guess it's not been good enough for the bulls so far. So we'll see if Palantir can wind up working its way back up to greatness in and around this $200 level. It's not like you pulled that far away. You look at names like Intel down 50% or more, well, close to it anyway. I think it's 140 down to 80. I guess it's not that bad. Marvell's down huge. Names like Corning, like AMD is down recently as well. But as Neil said, it seems like they're not getting hit as badly as some of those names right now. So we'll see. I mean, there are reports still to come. Many of the names have had decent reports and gotten hit on it. So I'm not even sure what Palantir can say to get it going again. We know they have a lot of government adoption. We're looking for more commercial numbers, and hopefully they just come out stronger than we can even imagine and somehow, work their way into that valuation. But I don't know, man. I mean, no debt, tons of cash, building their book up, big moat around everything that they're doing. It's not easy to get those government contracts and to create sort of the AIP that they have as well. So yeah, their protocol seems to be legit. And again, Alex Karp had talked about this even on CNBC when he went off a little bit, and it was just like, a lot of these large language models are just taking all the information that we're giving, and all the exhaust is just going into their own books. Like they're getting everything they need. Like every time Neil asks a question, they know exactly who he is, what they're getting, what all that information. So all of a sudden, your privacy is no longer exists if you're using any of these large language models. But Palantir keeps all the information and just spits it out to your company and the U.S. government and just builds it within, right? And so this is the whole thing. These guys are charging money for all these LLMs, and yet just once again, just like that whole model that we all don't like, I don't want to pay for Facebook, or I don't want to use Facebook because they're getting all my information. Well, what do you think is happening every time you're using a large language model? You're logging in, they're making you sign up for it, and you're asking it, this heart condition means what? So then automatically it knows that either you have it or someone in your family or whatever, and it's just all the exhaust that is being provided by these large language models is just out there, and you're giving it all for free. So I do think that there is some love for Palantir for those that are in the know, but the stock market has to like the report tonight. So we'll wait to see what winds up happening. I mean, we've seen Apple down 10% there. On their earnings call. We saw Google a similar move as well. These are world-class companies that are getting hit and then just getting bought right back up. So that could easily happen to Palantir, and I just hope that when it gets hit, I think it will get hit. I don't know what they're going to report, but I mean, I think it's been probably more likely than not, because of the space that it's in, could get to the downside. It's too bad. Like I almost actually wish they reported the same time as SpaceX, so people would focus more on SpaceX than on what Palantir is going to bring. But we'll see what happens tonight. I mean, I still like it. It's still in my portfolio. So, but it has been something that we sold off. And I mean, we just talked about it the other day. Like I sold off some. We talked about it, some Intel, some AMD. We did this all live on the show, some Marvell as well, to buy what I thought was better companies. And that was an opportunity to get into some cash and buy, a name like a Google. And I think today you buy like a name like an Apple. And I wouldn't be surprised if I step into some Palantir. If it is down, a similar 10% or so tomorrow, I think it might be worth it after the 2 or 3 day rule there to step in. Although for Google, I waited 1 day. So that was a little bit of a different. We didn't necessarily wait very long to buy some Google. But I heard Michael was not here traveling or busy on Friday. But we're not missing him today.
We got him.
On a holiday, this man. But we already talked about this, man. Like
it's not a real holiday.
Like on Saturday, I was up at 5. Well, because we played early. We had double games at 8 a.m. So we had an 8 a.m. game on Saturday and on Sunday. So we're up. We got to be at the ballpark at 7.
Exactly.
So you're up in your hotel. You're up at 6 and blah, blah, blah. And the same thing here today. So I'm sure it's the same thing with Michael. It doesn't really matter what day it is. If it's a holiday or not, you're awake. So thanks, Michael, for coming through. Let's go find out with the desk what Michael Noss is all about this morning.
Yeah, Michael Noss away for, I believe he was at a conference last week, but he is back this morning, and it's the first day of the month, so we know what we're going to get here. But we'll start here with a good morning and happy Monday, Mr. Michael Noss, CMT over at Stats Edge.
Happy Monday and happy holiday for, I know we call it something different depending on your province, but it's a holiday for all us Canadians.
Very true, and happy holiday to you as well. Now, I know it's also a holiday for you, Michael, when you get to look at these monthly charts. You have a whole bunch you want to show to us, so let's get right into it, starting with the wider market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of do this rant every time, but I know a lot of people watching this show, myself included, we're short-term traders, but I think it's definitely worthwhile once a month. Take a big step back, deep breath, and you unplug from all the news and you go to whatever watch list of whatever it is that you trade, and you crank that chart setting up to monthly, and you go through when you have these monthly candles, right? This is the only time in which it's a new monthly candle and it's closed and you don't have to see any other data. And it's a forest for the trees type of thing. You just take a deep breath and you go, okay, what's actually happening out there? Because a lot of us, we've got our nose to the screen and we're watching daily candles or even, intraday candles, 1 minute candles, and you get a little bit kind of, wrapped up in the day-to-day operation. So again, nice zoom out and a look out of what's happening in the market once a month. Starting here with the S&P 500, and based off of the sentiment out there and everyone talking about things crashing and is this the top and all of that. If you zoom out and you look at what happened last month, the answer is nothing. That last candle, that is the open is right near the close, and you got a little up wick and down wick. So it's a doji or a spinning top, depending on how you classify it. But those candles just represent indecision. And then also see that it's contained inside of last month's candle. So no gain from the bulls, no gain from the bears. Nothing really happened. It always feels like something happened last month when you're trading shorter term time frames, but that's just not what we're seeing. Nice inside month in on the market. And next chart I wanted to look at was showing the RSP. So the RSP and the S&P 500 have the same names in them. The RSP is equally weighted and the S&P 500 is cap weighted, essentially just meaning that the biggest companies move the S&P 500, but this has the same companies in it, but those big moves like NVIDIA and Micron and Apple, they don't affect this. So this is a good representation of what is the average stock doing. And although a small month and not huge gains either way, it was an all-time monthly closing high. It did close green. So this is now 3 months in a row that the average stock has made new all-time highs, where, if you're looking at what the news is focusing on and what we focus on, which is kind of big movers and high growth players, you might have not known that we made new all-time highs here in the average stock. Next chart is IWM. So this is 2,000 of the largest or the smallest companies out there, your mom and pop organizations. Quickly made a new high, reversed back down, smack dab in the middle of last month. So really no gain there at all on that one. Next here is the Qs. And then although the Qs were down, we're right to last month's close or last month's low, and we're almost to the month before that's low. But again, zooming out, you can see the last 3 months, the last quarter or so, just really hasn't gone anywhere. I know it feels that way when you're trading, especially if you're in some of these names that have kind of gotten killed. But even the Qs, which is 100 of the largest kind of tech companies out there, plus Apple and Costco for some reason, just holding on okay. Gold is interesting here on the next chart, not because it did anything, but because it's finally chilled out for the first month. So you can see 4 months down in a row, a pretty gnarly pullback in gold after a huge epic run for like 2 years. But you look at the doji that happened there at the end of the month, maybe time. I looked at this and I said, well, you know, if you wanted to take a shot here on gold, you have 2 monthly lows around 360 on GLD. And if this is just going to be a pullback and an overall like really longer term uptrend, I don't know. I'm starting to get interested here on gold. Maybe we'll zoom into that on a future segment. Same thing here with Bitcoin. If you go into the next one with Bitcoin, it's in over the last, say, 6 months or so, hasn't really done anything. We're at that low that we were 6 months or so ago. Ignore the current candle on this one because I just didn't capture it in time. I think I was like a couple hours off. But that green candle, it kind of looks like gold, down a couple months in a row. Small candle, just showing kind of some indecision or some churning around that zone. And we know how important this 63,000-ish, 65,000 area is. So starting to get interested maybe on this pullback on Bitcoin if we can get up into the 70,000 kind of area. Now, the next chart, this is the real culprit. This is what everyone kind of is feeling, I guess, because a lot of people have been trading this. And look at this chart, of course. But huge breakout, huge push up. The thing I wanted to bring this chart on is that, yes, that red candle feels bad in the moment. But if you look at everything that's happened over semiconductors, if this was a 5-minute chart as opposed to a monthly chart of the day, I don't think anyone would be surprised to see that pullback after that huge run higher. So I just look at this and say, yeah, that's, you know, it's par for the course. If you're going to rip up that high, at some point you're going to have some of these nasty pullbacks. Just a couple more here. Next one is Berkshire Hathaway. And this is interesting because it's kind of the opposite of that last chart of semiconductors. And if this was a 5-minute chart or a daily chart, if you're a swing trader, I would look at that and say, wow, that's a really nice tight bull flag there on Berkshire Hathaway. So this is going to be, we all know what Buffett, that kind of stuff trades. A lot of banks, a lot of insurance companies, things like that. Nice tight little breakout. You can see I have that retire line because the GOAT still went out on top. So we haven't hit that all-time high yet. But looking at this chart, wouldn't surprise me to see us back up there in a couple months. Next chart is just going to show one of the reasons why I brought this to you guys last time. This is XLV. Nice solid breakout, all-time highs on XLV. Bit of a topping tail there on the monthly candle, but an all-time high breakout nonetheless. This last chart is just to show SpaceX. I kind of threw this in. They were talking about this before I popped on, but these are the moments I saw this kind of monthly chart going around. And although it looks funny because it's just, right, the first monthly candle is straight down. These are the times in which I don't think it makes sense to spend too much time looking at monthly charts when you don't have that amount of data. And I have seen that happen before where people are like, oh, well, look at the monthly candle on this. Well, it's existed for like a month and a day. So, you know, give it some time before you zoom out that far. But it does kind of look, you know, it does look a little bit bad if you're looking at it just on a monthly chart. But I guess we'll see what earnings for SpaceX has for us.
Yeah, and we'll find out very soon, literally tomorrow night. So I appreciate that you brought up that month and a half worth of SpaceX monthly candle data here. I do have a couple kind of questions and things that I found interesting that I'd kind of like to pick your brain on if possible. So I noticed here that you highlighted the Berkshire Hathaway strength and also XLV relatively strong. And then we also had, of course, just to go back a couple charts here, to the RSP. So I guess, I mean, clearly with the RSP strength, you've got, as you mentioned, these non-tech leadership names doing quite well. With Berkshire Hathaway and XLV, would you say that, again, like this provides you areas to look at in terms of healthcare and insurance? And additionally, I guess, how would you recommend that potentially traders could find other similar areas of strength based on, again, the fact that the RSP is strong?
Yeah, I think your healthcare and your insurance, that kind of thing makes perfect sense. I figured I was inundating you guys with charts already, but if you look at KIE for the audience there, that is the insurance ETF, and that on a monthly chart looks absolutely amazing, breaking out to new highs here. So I think you do this just like you would with a daily chart, where when you see that we have non-tech outperforming, you can grab start with the 11 SPY sectors out there, and then you can Google those, and there's ETFs for all those. And then there's also subsectors and industries, and you can add those as well. But if you go, take a look at something like XLF, which is your banks, that broke out to new all-time highs. And then I showed the healthcare one, that broke out to new all-time highs. And if you're someone who believes in kind of relative strength and that, trends continue to persist, just by going down the list of all of these different SPY sectors and saying, well, what's working is, banks and brokers and insurance, and what's not, it's, currently right now, tech.
Yeah, this is actually, I pulled up that KIE that you mentioned, and I really like this look, Michael, because it looks almost identical in terms of formation to Berkshire Hathaway, but for this new all-time high breakout last month. So good look there for KIE, and thank you for bringing that one to our attention. One more question that I have as well, just for, my clarification, I guess, for the audience here as well. For these purple lines, I'm guessing these are just prior support resistance areas to be aware of?
Yeah, it's one of those with TradingView. If you delete them, they're gone forever. So I like to leave them in there just to note the last area of support and resistance. But yeah, so for GLD, for example, this is I just highlight these zones. One of my favorite sayings in technical analysis was, I think, Luis Yamada, she is one of the goats of technical analysis. And she always said, draw your support and resistance lines with a crayon, not a pencil. And the idea is that these are zones that you need to look at as opposed to just looking for exact kind of prices. So if you look at gold, when we came up to that 300-ish, call it 250 to 300 area, we spent like 6 months consolidating really tightly before that next breakout. So on the way back down, if we do continue, I want to look at that because that was a huge area and zone in which there was some support and resistance. And by having that shaded area in there, if I drop down to a daily chart or something like that, it will just change the color of the chart. So I know, okay, we are inside a zone that on a higher time frame I thought was interesting.
Thank you very much for going over all of that. Michael Noss, CMT over at Stats Edge, here with us on a Canadian holiday. And you'll see Michael again, as you often do every Monday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Yep. So you'll see him in just a matter of a few days. Have a great rest of your holiday, Michael. Thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Fantastic stuff always by Mr. Michael Noss. Make sure you guys join us 8:30 a.m. sharp Monday and Friday to see what we got going on from the Stats Edge man himself, Michael Noss. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades, guys. At the top of our list today, we have Reddit. We're positive 1.4%, but we're getting the downgrade and a lowering of the price target, a neutral weight rating here, and a $145 price target. That is actually down from an $185 target. Now, Roth Capital stating that near-term headwinds, including user growth deceleration and Google OpenAI licensing deal, despite the stock falling 22% on the earnings report last week on Friday, and an impressive beat and raise. There's a couple of things moving forward why we are lowering our price target. Now, moving forward, let's take a look at another name here, Circle Group, going from an equal weight to an underweight with a $38 price target. That's a substantial cut. That is down from $106. Morgan Stanley downgrading CRCL. So a couple of things here as well, too, guys. Morgan Stanley believes tokenized money market funds and deposits threaten USDC, carrying structurally weaker economics. Now, the firm states it will cut its USD assumptions by 33% in 2027 and 44% in 2028. So not the best outlook for CRCL. You're negative 5.4% here this morning. Moving forward, guys, Tesla getting the nod, Katina Man using FSD all the way to Ottawa. But we're going to get a lowered price target here, guys. We're holding that buy rating slightly positive this morning. $491, that's down from $508. But Stifel believing that Tesla is making strong progress on FSD and robotaxi, and seems a demand resurgence evidence is by its largest backlog since 2023. All right, guys, send one more over here. A market upgrade here. D.A. Davidson, Starbucks, apologies there. D.A. Davidson giving them the nod, guys, $110. That is up from $102. The company's Q3 results beat expectations on both the top and bottom line. The firm stating also, however, that it remains a neutral pending greater long-term margin visibility. So you're going to get the neutral weight rating here, guys, but an increase in price target to $110. That's up from 102. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Thank you, Joe. But I do also keep seeing in the chat right now that the right setup's the wrong size. This is what our traders are working with. But here's the truth. You guys have all got the skills. Your accounts are just too small. Trade Funder changes that. 100K for stocks, 25K for options today. Keep 80% paid every single Friday. Never risk your own money. $99 to start, refunded on your first qualifying payout. You can start in an hour, no evaluation, no background checks, just you and the size you've been missing. Scan that QR code right there on your screen, tradefunder.com. Choose stocks or options. Enjoy Trade Funder. Just scan that QR code right there. If that's been a problem, you never want to see that set up and then realize you don't have the power behind it to use the right size. So, but yeah, you mentioned there's Starbucks. I mean, we saw also, I didn't get a chance really to see JMKE, which was Jersey Mike's, there and how they were going to react to their day 2, day 3. It looks like let's go, Jersey Mike's, $21 comes out at. Now you're sitting in that middle of that range again. Their range was 21 to 25. So I think this is going to be an interesting look here today to see what winds up happening. On their IPO day, of course, we made a decent trade there on the Thursday. Wasn't here to look at it there on the Friday, but we did fail off of that 23, that middle of the range. So for me today, we'll look at some Starbucks. Obviously, they catch that upgrade. I was just showing it on the screen there real quick, but it brought me to Jersey Mike's. Let's wait to see what happens at $23 today. It's also where you have your 200 period moving average. So this was actually the tap for the longest time. There on Thursday. We all thought it was going to come out at 23. It winds up coming to 21, then goes all the way up basically to 23 right there, touches it, falls back in 21, and then Friday was starting to work its way back to that level before dumping in the afternoon. So we'll have to wait to see, again, a pretty rich valuation there for Jersey Mike's. But yeah, Starbucks nicely holding the 50 period and looking to break out of this 109 area, but you got to get through there first.
Yeah, it was a disappointing one for Starbucks. It was a good queue, and it really did feel like it was going to make that breakout. But you know what? Sometimes it just takes its time, bides its time, gets into one of those support zones that you draw with a crayon, and then it can break out from there. Cheese and a chair, thank you for the super chat. Good one here. Thank you, Trader TV, for leaving your igloos. Interesting because it's the summer. Yeah. And coming to work on the holiday. I hope the great Yeti brought new ice skates, thick cut bacon, nice flannel shirts, and a mountain of Canadian Fruit Loops. Well, I'll take most of those things, that's for sure. I don't know about a mountain of Canadian Fruit Loops, but they do taste better here. I'm just saying. Sharif's already hating on the sugar. Sometimes you just got to enjoy a good breakfast cereal, Sharif. Fruit Loops are delicious.
A lot of sugar, Neil, man.
They're delicious, though. They're so good. I'm just saying. I'm a big fan. But thank you for the super chat there, Cheese in a Chair. We appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, it's a holiday here.
It's only 30 degrees here Celsius.
I know.
So it's only about like 85.
It's ridiculously
Fahrenheit here.
And humid.
The igloos have held up very, very nicely.
Yeah. Better than you think.
Here in lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's been a good ride here. It's 6:48 or 6:48. See, we have different time zones here in Toronto. 8:48 right now, so about 45 minutes until we open up this market. We can have a quick look. I mean, I was looking at the early imbalances. There's really nothing going on here. You're only going to get Amex names or New York names right here, and it's not much going on, man. It's Stellantis, AT&T, some long-term bonds going through. There was some BMY. We had a little talk about BMY and AstraZeneca maybe coming through. We probably will talk about that. Chewy, AMC right there as well. So yeah, AMC $3, okay. Joe saw Spider-Man, he liked it apparently, so I'm sure that was pretty good. Didn't you, Joe? You saw Spider-Man, no? Yeah, he watched it and he enjoyed it. So
he didn't help out AMC at all, though.
I'm not sure I've seen any of the Spider-Mans. Maybe the first one. I don't know. The one where he was upside down and kissing. What's her name there?
That's like the old school, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, Toby Flenderson or something there. That guy there.
Toby was a legendary character.
He is still not Spider-Man. I hope. He's way too old.
No. It's the new kid from the Marvel movies, the one that's married to Zendaya. Yeah. Married to Zendaya. And you know what?
You know,
if it's gonna help AMC, then why not? Like big numbers for them. And they didn't even, the huge numbers didn't release it on IMAX because all of the IMAX is for
you can't. Oh, we bought
Odyssey.
So we bought our tickets for that, and we had to go. I think it's August 23rd or something. We have 2. We're lucky. There's only 40 of those theaters, I think, in North America.
Yeah,
we have 2 within 20 minutes of where I live. So but we still had to wait over 3 weeks. So we booked 5 tickets to go see Odyssey 70 millimeter IMAX.
Yeah, everyone's going crazy.
Crazy. So we're excited for that one.
There's another small cap apparently moving as well. Just want to show you this one. It's Ezra, EZRA, Reliance Group. So they entered into a non-binding LOI to sell assets of its Altruist Benefit Consulting subsidiary for $11 million in cash. So it's done pretty good volume. $15 million in volume so far for this one. Let's see the details on this bad boy. We got, of course, the float's less than $1 million. 780,000 float. So that's obviously pretty tiny, less than 1 million shares. So that one's flying around. It's above VWAP. It did just make a lower high though. So look, the top is like 368. Just put in a bit of a lower high on EZRA. And as per usual, when you look at that daily chart, that kind of tells you all you need to know. Dump it and
Yeah, not
pump it.
great. Not great.
No, not so much. So you know what you're getting with some of these small cappers, but there's another one doing pretty solid volume for you, Sharif.
I liked it, Neil. I was looking at it as soon as you mentioned it. EZRA looking already fab here to start the morning. Let's have a quick look, see what the technicals are showing. I'm not liking all these topping tail candles through 3, Neil. That shows you there's a lot of aggressive selling in and around that $3 area with almost 375 local area high. But as you mentioned, look at this one turn here, losing 3, losing VWAP, could be on the way back to 2.5. You know what is holding up though? HYFM in the same range since last we spoke. I do like these ones that hold up at least in the pre-market, still trading below 4 Dara.
Yeah, let's see here how BMY is holding up, and the answer is not very well. Bristol Myers Squibb and AstraZeneca, both these healthcare names are on watch together. In connection with one another, as the Financial Times reports that the companies have actually held preliminary talks about a cash and stock merger. Investors really not liking this, though, for AstraZeneca here, AZN.
See, that's what threw me, the cash and stock part of it. Now let's look at the actual finances. So this is going to be about $400 billion, give or take. But let's look at what each company is actually capable of individually. So according to analysts, and this wasn't confirmed by any of the companies, AstraZeneca's M&A capacity is about $37 billion. BMY's is about $32 billion. So this is more of like a merging of equals rather than one company buying out the other. And it's also going to be heavily stock-based because there's very little cash to go around. And if there is cash, it's going to be the minority position. So something to think about there. It's going to be highly dilutive by definition. There is also antitrust regulations that they got to get through because they have a lot of overlap in the area of medicine that they deal with. So the FTC and the EC here are the 2 main regulators that we're talking about, especially in the immuno-oncology where AZN already has Imfinzi, and that already competes with BMY's, which is a blockbuster new drug, Opdivo, and likely requiring severe asset divestitures to get the nod from both those regulators. So we'll have to, if you're trading this buyout, that's another thing you need to keep in mind. But there's also some, synergies here, especially because there is so much overlap. So if they do get the nod from the regulator, this could create a lot of economies of scale for both companies. Hence why, this is likely the operational upside that they're looking at. Last but not least, remember when AstraZeneca filed a direct U.S. listing? Well, there was a reason for that, and analysts are viewing this possible tie-up as finally AZN's kind of divestiture from having their tax base in England and moving that to the United States. Of course, they do get tax advantages for doing that.
That's an interesting look here. And I think as well on the antitrust side, as Sharif mentioned, apparently if these two combine, they would be the 4th largest drug maker in the world by market value. Another reason for these regulators to take a close look at this merger. Are you guys taking a close look at either of these names to trade today?
Not really to trade. It's a rumor, not a firm deal. It's a could happen, and even if it does, probably takes a while to close. Multi-jurisdictional approvals would need to be made here. I think the one that gets interesting, obviously Bristol Myers is a smaller company, is the one that's likely to get the premium in any kind of a merger, even if it's cash and stock. So looking for these guys to catch a bid would make some sense. You get a rumor, it pops up, and then you're just seeing it gap back in. take out, like we talk about support and resistance all the time, like it had double top on Thursday and Friday, and I mean literally double topped the same level on both days at 65.5. That gives you something to work with here, but you're essentially, to me, you're buying the uptrend with the chance of a deal just being the gravy there. But it's not a lot of volume because it's not a firm deal, so I think you got to maybe put it on the back burner. But it's already in a sector which had been performing well, which does give it some appeal to look for a dip buy, but not in the middle of the gap. Here. So yeah, it's a huge deal if it does happen. Bit confusing because you don't usually see a company with a very good pipeline need to make this kind of an acquisition like AstraZeneca, but still would be a massive one into the benefit of Bristol Myers here. Just I'd wait for at least another couple of dollars before looking for the bid today.
I asked you guys basically what you guys were looking to trade here today. Bunter Hayden, I love this name, says nothing, he's going to go fishing. I'll take a picture if he catches something. So I was like, make sure you do that. Sebastian talked about oil and yen, oil down today. I think those are good looks as well. I've responded to all of these as well. So you guys here, I'll put this in the chat and you guys let me know what's setting up for you right there. Go have a look. Dave Clark says Alibaba, and that's the #1 on my sticky note here today as well. Alibaba, and then there's Reddit and USO from South. Palantir and SpaceX from Adele. Brian, same names, Reddit, Baba, Futures, Palantir and SOX right there, Sanjeev. I said, watch out there with Palantir and SpaceX reporting this week. Not that SOX, that's a SpaceX. And then Jose also with Alibaba as well there. So it looks like there's a lot of love today for some of these names. And here I have Alibaba, SpaceX, Intel, and Apple. So 2 longs right there, Apple and Baba, and 2 shorts, Intel and SpaceX we'll be looking at here today. So yeah, a couple good looks happening in this market, and you never know what's going to happen. And there's AMC pulling off of $3, still up 5%. I was looking at that level. I mean, that's a pretty good one there for AMC. So, you know, thinking about if we don't break above this 310, you know, possible sell spot there, as we just talked about, Spider-Man and Odyssey and Obsession. I wonder if there are any small cap names that are better than Ezra. Yeah, that's a good 90s music reference for sure. Bet for us old guys. Yeah, well, Neil's much older, but good luck today to us. So yeah, thanks. Yeah, we talked a little bit about some of those small cap names. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked at many there today. You mentioned Kids.
There's Kids and Ezra, the two. And then there's another really tiny one. It's whatever. YYAI. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the company. It's in the watch list. Anyone that wants to be able to pronounce the name of the last one.
Just come to the watch list here and you can get it here. Yeah, Airwa. Yeah, it's actually pretty easy.
Such a silly name.
Airwa right there. So you know, this is the thing on our watch list here, and you know, Adara's putting this together, and it has all the economic events, all the pre-market trading, everything that's hot into here, all the earnings that are going tonight. It's nothing. It's not. You know, tonight's not that big other than Palantir, Snapchat, who really cares? And then it just goes all the way down. I mean, sorry about everybody that cares about Snapchat. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I probably still own some Snapchat in the old account there. I remember buying some at like $7. What is that, $3 now? Apple, IonQ, Corning, and then I guess TE is one. T1 Energy, is that moving around there? It's only up 7%. It's $4 name. So that's a good one too as well. And then Airwa, so is on that list. So if you are always looking for some, shout out to Better Than Ezra, of course, but here's, well, wait a minute, you said YYAY?
YYAI.
YYAI. We have that, it's called Conexa Sports Technology, YYAY. So I don't know what's going on there, maybe a name change, but there it is right here. It's only 29 cents, and we had it listed as up 240% when Adara was writing that, and of course now it has tanked to a pathetic 143%. I mean, who the hell would be happy with that on a one-day return? But yeah, no, just all joking aside, this stock has fallen quite heavily right there. And oh, let me guess, this was a reverse split. And then, of course, it just mooned on that. It went from 24 cents up to, I mean, I don't know where it would have started at that day, $10. So I don't know, 100 to 1, more than that. And then boom, all the way to the downside again, where it's going to try, I guess, to reverse split again at some point now. So I remember there's that new rule in place where you have to be 5 schmil, and YYAI, well, let's see.
I mean, maybe it is, but I'm going to
We don't actually have to guess right now. We can see The market cap
No.
is $100,000. This is market cap right into here for YY, which is they have it called the same way, Airwa there. So ours is old in ours, but there it is right there. Monster market cap. I could just by accident buy this whole company right now. But then the problem is like, of course, it's already done 127 million. What is that? What is wrong with our?
No, that can't be right.
What's wrong?
It's a glitch they're aware of the issue.
Yeah, what is all this up here? When did that happen? I didn't download it.
It's just this morning. It's not a new version.
Oh, okay.
I think it has to do with the new.
Our software all of a sudden does that without new versions? They put new things in there? Okay. Well, anyways, all good. Software's still working completely fine. Yeah. Just interesting new things on there that I'm just noticing now for the first time. But anyways, yeah, there's one for you in the chat there, right? We'll have to wait to see what's going on with YYAI, but underneath $1, no fly zone for moi. I mean, we'll still trade it, but I'll have to wait to see. It's back at the 200.
It's already losing.
Yeah, at least it's here now. So this would be a spot now where I would think about buying it. And again, a lot of data points obviously hitting through right here. But these ones are so risky, right? I mean, the news was, we didn't even get over the news. Gapping, okay, here's the news that Adair wrote down. Gapping up on apparently no news. So, okay. So then it coming all the way back down. It probably gapped up because of that reason where they're thinking about a reverse split again. And I don't know, like 12 cents to 48 cents up there. So yeah, there's a small cap name. It's 9:01 right now. Let's start talking about maybe some stocks that we possibly will be trading. We have a watch list and we have a rundown. And I believe it starts right about Check's watch now.
That's right.
Just below 747, not the airplane, is where we closed on Friday. On the SPY, we're above 750 right now, and we're looking like we might be heading back to that 755 area of resistance that we actually double topped at back in, it looks like the 10th of July, and then again on the 15th of July. So that'll be R1. We'll use 755 as resistance. If we sell off, first support level, we're looking at that clear 750 area. And if we really start selling off, it's Friday's closing print, 747.80 Adara support.
Let's talk here about our watch list. Lots of stuff to talk about today and every day this week, and probably this whole month as earnings continue. So to figure out what to look at, definitely check out this free Trader TV Live watch list. You can either type that URL on your screen, but that can be complicated. So just click the link in the description. Again, we'll have earnings for you, economic data, stocks on watch. Why not check it out? Again, it is free. Let's take a look here at USO. This thing is gapping down massively and currently at pre-market lows. Oil, of course, back in focus. President Trump saying that there's going to be a deal here on the Strait of Hormuz. Discussions happening today. He called off strikes in Iran, though there does seem to be some discrepancies here with Iran and other parts of the Middle East as to whether or not these talks with the U.S. are actually occurring, Sharif.
Yeah, exactly. There seems to be that every single time. One party says one thing, the other party says the other, and that's exactly what happened here. Washington citing, quote, imminent broad-based U.S.-Iran trade deal talks. And then the Iranian Foreign Ministry, of course, for their part, denying the bilateral talks with the U.S., saying, no. We're discussing, we're having bilateral negotiations with the Omanis, and they're discussing sort of how the transit would operate. They want those two entities, the Omanis and the Iranians, to be in charge. Of course, the world community has a different look at that. Apparently, this change of heart by President Trump was sort of buoyed by the Gulf states, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who's worried about his own oil infrastructure being the target of Iranian retaliatory strikes. Specifically, what he's worried about is the east to west oil pipeline from the Gulf into the Red Sea. And that's where they're passing about 4.1 million barrels per day right now to kind of circumvent the Strait of Hormuz, and that could be obviously on the target list. So this is kind of the same situation, Adara. We also should mention that the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations reported 3 additional tanker strikes over the weekend. So what this tells me is that you have sort of these proxy states or these kind of autonomous militias who are just not adhering to the higher level negotiations and the higher level trade or truce. So this presents, again, Adara, a problem that I identified early on, which is sort of the parcelization of negotiations. You just have one party not adhering.
There's a much smaller angle here as well for some of these earnings plays this week. You've got DVN and COP both reporting later this week. DVN, I believe, on Tuesday night, COP on Thursday morning. And it's also going to be earnings day, too, for some other oil plays like CVX and XOM. So not a lot of movement on any of these, but just be aware earnings is another much less significant play that is on watch here this week with oil.
Yeah, the thing with oil is it's the last week or two, it's really just been about the gaps. So unless you are playing around holding overnight, intraday, you see like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were absolute like nothing burgers. Like it gapped up and then they were all inside type days where any attempt at a break out of the range was a false break. Like the break out of the high was false and reversed. The breakdown of the low on Thursday was false and then that reversed. So intraday, we're just sort of hunting for headlines in the middle of the day to possibly revert. Until that stops being the case and we get back to some maybe trend days in oil, I think for the day trade, it's more of a reactionary. If something hits, wait for volume to maybe taper off and then play in the other direction because that's been the way to go. The gap down probably takes all those small cappers out of play that were running. They weren't even that strong last week anyways with the gap up. So I think you got to stay away from those unless something is going to change. When you look at the overall trend, I mean, the good news here is, hey, you put in the lower high and now with, you always put deal talk in air quotes because whether we get something or not remains to be seen. We're all hoping for it. There's a chance that this could really break back down. Like you're at the key level of support from the absolute lows. And if you lose that 118.50 this week, I think you get some serious momentum back underneath. But that's going to be headline driven. And based on last week's history, I wouldn't be anticipating that break. Like if we had a different environment, you'd be thinking, okay, well, you could really flush if we break back down. But every single gap, like last week's gap, was met by sideways action. So until you see something different from that, I think you're just scalping inside and waiting for news to hit.
Yeah, so I was just looking kind of the same way, like looking at some of these other names, like in XOM or, instead of, USO has been interesting. I think Neil's right. Like you want to play some of those gaps. You come in the morning, and that's when the moves happen. And then we hear the tweets, relatively early. And now, did you hear Donald Trump is now going to be making money off of his own tweets, which is kind of cool. He has now $100,000 a month. You can pay him to get early access to the truths that he's posting. Isn't that amazing? So you're now, so he's going to now put $100,000 in his pocket. As the president of the United States. So he's going to tweet out something like Palantir, PLTR, and then you're going to, because you're privileged enough to have money, $100,000 a month, you're going to be able to get that truth moments earlier, and I don't know how many seconds earlier it is, before the rest of the world. So get ready to see like oil and a lot of these names starting to really bump around. I think it's a genius move by the president to do that. That's what, that's part of the game. And if he's allowed to do it, then go ahead and do it. I'm not hating on it. It just means it's going to change the game a little bit here. And that's not going to make that much difference for XOM or anything. But XOM, again, had a beautiful move off the 200 period moving average. It's that same move when I said too far, too fast this way. I've already said it this way as well. Thought it was too far the other way. So now I think this 160 is a good short back, honestly, back to the 200 period moving average. So I actually don't mind that. I don't mind, like if you look up some puts or something like that, like a 140 or maybe even 145. I know we're only at 153, but back down into here by the end of the month, I think is very possible for XOM. So let's see if that starts to drip down. But I'm glad we sort of talked about that. And I remembered to say that I saw that over the weekend. It's just absolutely unbelievable that that's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with right now. If Mark Carney over here, I don't even know if he uses X or anything like that, but that would be something interesting to see if that was happening. Lumber prices would be shooting all over the place here in Canada. But
paying for direct access, like API access to like economic data and that kind of a thing, like that's already part of it. The issue is it's a unique situation in which like market moving and official government correspondence is happening on this outside platform.
Right,
like that's the thing that makes it incredibly unique here. But
well, what makes it unique is you have a president tweeting out about stocks, which never normally happens, and now he's giving the rich people early access.
It's more about the
to
oil
that
stuff than the stocks. It's
No,
more.
but
It's
it's the
more about.
trade-off.
It's more about the.
Right.
It's more about the straightedge moves and oil prices and oil futures and the fact is shocking. Now, like the Palantir is like the one. This is about. This is about oil. This is about oil futures and this is about like S&P 500. not individual stock, because like 90% of the times he moves the market, it's the overall market and oil futures. Like, because basically
the biggest trade though was Dell.
He's turned himself into an economic indicator, right? It's the same way. So the same thing. And again, if you know anything, like this is like normal practice around like economic numbers and data. So like it used to be easier to trade off, say, the jobs number like 20 years ago. And now basically everyone has API access to just be able to read the trades individually, and there's never any of that interaction reacting to it. So it completely changed the game on those numbers. That's why we talk about like the fact that you can even still have alpha on the Boyle trade on Thursdays is a bit weird, but you can, because I guess that one isn't like machined up enough. And that's it. It is wild, but the fun thing about it is the amount of times that algos will get things wrong, meaning they'll jump out in front and then it gives you that reversion. That's part of the reason why you get some of these wild reversions, is because they'll overreact, buying the rip or like making the spread, and then all of a sudden when it settles back down, if you can quickly determine, hey, that's not a big deal, you might be able to get some out. It plays in both. It does play in both ways.
Literally,
you get more reversion.
I think it's the definition of like insider trading. So I think the SEC should be able to step in here and calm that. We'll see if that actually goes. I mean, I think it's just an idea. We'll see if it actually goes, because the fact that you can tweet out, tickers and symbols and everybody buy a Dell and all that, like that information already, the rich are making millions of dollars off those tweets. Now they're going to be making millions of dollars even faster off of those tweets. So congratulations to anybody that has 100 grand sitting there. It's only
the high quant firms that are going to do it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's a couple of people I'm following on Twitter that are just individual investors, but it's just a matter of how much money you have, right? I mean, it's like or you can make 100 grand off one of those things, like easily. So it's wild the world we're living in.
But the competition, that's the thing. It's a trick, because the bigger firms will be much faster than you. So a lot of people will pay for it and then won't even have the speed to beat the better firms that are paying for it. So it's like a sucker's bet for some people that'll pay for it, because they'll never have the speed to beat some of the big boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you never ever will. And that's why we talk about it all the time. Like sitting here, what we're doing is fun, right? But this is not something to take lightly, and you got to make sure that you make all the right decisions and don't risk too much capital based on news, because it can go back and forth and you're always late to the game. So, all right, let's go back. It's 9:12.
Yeah, let's talk here about very different type of story here. Alibaba, BABA, they're going to be in focus here after unveiling their new Qwen 3.8 Max model, which apparently performs quite well.
Yeah, 2.4 trillion parameters, 1 million token context window. But let's talk about this because it's interesting. So it's using a technology called the Mixture of Experts, MOE. And what that does for these huge LLMs that are multi-trillion parameters, it actually allows you to run about 95 billion, or just a fraction of the actual parameters live at any one time. And that the benefit of that is it reduces compute and inference costs. So very efficient is the model. But they did have a commitment to make it open weight. And we've been talking a lot more about open weight is not the same thing as open source. Open weight allows you to download the entire model and run it locally on your computer, okay? So you don't actually have to go to the cloud. The benefit of that is you protect your information. Sean and Neil were bringing this up, that the LLMs, the frontier models, are becoming your biggest competitors. They are looking at how you do business. They're looking at the connections between the different segments of your business. They're making that basically a product in and of itself, and they're competing directly with you. So a lot of these bigger businesses, they want to reclaim kind of the supply chain, or the kind of the means of production, so to speak, and they want to keep it local. And that's what open weight is, and that's what Bob is committed to, but they haven't made it available yet. It's also being heavily subsidized here. So if you get this Qwen 3.8 Max, you're going to pay about 90 to 98% off during off-peak hours. The obvious move here is a loss leader to kind of get you using it. But Adara, it is an immediate reaction to Moonshot's 2.8 trillion parameter model that they released last week called Kimi, or the week before, pardon me. And now you're seeing kind of these Chinese frontier models compete with each other as opposed to just competing with the Americans.
Interesting look there for Qwen. We'll get the thoughts here on Alibaba in a second, but I do want to mention as well, USO, a little bit of an uptick. I've been seeing over the last couple minutes just some reports swirling around as we suggested or expected here. Iran rejecting the latest US deals. How do you guys feel about BABA?
BABA.
Baba, yeah.
Well, it's better than the other BA. That's right. Twice as good as, well, maybe it's not twice as good as Boeing. Boeing actually is not that bad.
No.
Go look at, actually, Boeing is looking much better. I shouldn't make jokes about it, but if you want to fill the gap here on Alibaba, the problem is it's all the way down at a 122. This has been working for quite some time off the lows. And this is finally the breakout off the 50 period that you've wanted to see for Alibaba. Wish it had gone down like to the 80 level. That would have been much, much cooler. But to me, like, this has found its way. It's got the 50 period, and now you're breaking out above the 50, which is so distinct from some of the other recovery names that we've talked about. Like, they'll get to the 50 and they'll just sort of fail there. I like this breakout. 122 is a level that needs to be held on the way back in, but it's a little bit wide in terms of the gap. So if it starts filling in, I know when BABA starts filling in the gap, when it's gapped up, it can be violent on the way back. So it requires a lot of patience if you're trying to buy the dip. But it's 122 on the daily that I like.
Okay, so I was a little bit more aggressive. I'm here at 123 to 124. So whoopsies, right there on Alibaba. So I said these new models are proving it can compete with a cheaper version, cheaper model there. So I think Alibaba's a long, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that's checking out. Already 3,000 of you there, but yeah, thank you, Ryan Whitmore there for your response. Probably a bot, but there it is. We're gonna wait to see. Now it's 125 is your 200 period moving average. We've already broken out, so it's up 3.5% right now. There's that 122.50. I don't think we dip down into that level, but that's kind of what we're talking about. That's why we write down 123 to 124. I don't think we actually get down into there. What is the market doing right now? Flat. So yeah, again, I like the stock. I liked it a hell of a lot more down into here. If you go back on the monthly, you could see that like 90, there was reasons to think about this as a bouncing spot, as you can see if we sort of, I can't get my face off the screen myself, but right into here. So there was some good support areas back on the downside for Alibaba. So, there's the bounce back up. Now you look to say, hey, can we get back to 140? I think you can get back there pretty easily. So I really think there's more jump off in this name. So we want to get long here on Alibaba. That Kimi model is apparently what it's all about. And like I said, man, you could do something cheaper that we'll wait. So right now, it's all the talk, and I really like Alibaba going in the complete opposite way of many of the other chip names that we're about to see and talk about here as the show gets going. So yeah, man, I mean, I really like Alibaba. I mean, it's been a much better spot to be in Alibaba than, an AMD or an Intel or anything like that over the last month or so. And that has not been the case. Right, so there's just a little bit of a reweighting here in what kind of trade the tech space wants to be in. It's always tough because the rich Chinese, they tend to buy real estate and get involved in something a little more steady. But you can see the ADR Alibaba starting to get a little bit of love back into it. And with the President Xi speaking with President Trump later on this month, I mean, I think it's only going to be positive for China relations, but we'll see. That may not be the case. And any weakness, I think we want to buy Alibaba. So for me today, it's the number one trade idea at 123 long or 124. I mean, one of those levels. Let's see if it gets itself going here. Alibaba, the trade of the day for me. And then I have SpaceX written down as a 109 short for the next trade. So let's go back over and see what they're talking about here with SpaceX.
There's a lot to look at here for SpaceX this week, but obviously the biggest being their first ever earnings report and earnings call as a public company. Tomorrow after the bell, you also have some of that lockup period expiring, kicking off after that report as well. And it's worth noting here for SpaceX, apparently they're already allowing these shareholders to start putting in questions. People are wondering if Elon Musk is going to show up on the call. Do you think he's going to appear? Because I think it's probably pretty likely that he will.
Yeah, I think he should. It's the first one. I mean, and it's down so much. I think he definitely needs to be there to answer questions, Adara. Look, it's called SpaceX, but it feels like an AI company because every time we talk about this, everything really is AI related. It's like a frontier model. $2.5 billion in losses, 7.7 billion in CapEx. Guys, the 2026 merger, obviously, of XAI and SpaceX, they're losing a lot of money. They brought up about $818 million in revenue, but they also have $2.5 billion in operating losses. Of course, the unit absorbed over 75% of the total company CapEx, which is $7.7 billion. Starlink continues to be the only income generating part of the company, but it feels like maybe there is a little bit of weakness coming in here because their average revenue per user, their ARPU, for Starlink is dropping because they're focusing on emerging markets and non-enterprise internet connections for lower tier bands. So the customers are not paying as much. So even though they did grow subscribers 106% year over year, they have about 10.6 million now subs. The average revenue per user does continue to drop, something to think about there. And then as Adair mentioned, 1.2 billion share lockup expiration coming. So 912 million shares are going to become available for trading on the 6th of August. And then you're going to have another 319 million the following week. That kind of creates a massive potential float injection. Be on the lookout for that. But we can't also forget the Anthropic compute deal, because they're getting a $1.25 billion in cold hard cash from Anthropic on a monthly basis for renting out the Dojo supercomputer. So that's a good income generator in the meantime, Adara. However, it's also basically a nod that they don't have the users to use all that compute. So they are falling behind here in the frontier model.
What's the look here in SpaceX, Neil?
1.2 billion cold hard cash, as Shreve puts it, sounds really good, except for the fact you're a $1 trillion company. You need more. Not much in terms of what we're looking at seems bullish for SpaceX, right? The numbers we're going to hear don't seem particularly bullish. Any discussion of a merger, it does not seem particularly bullish in the short run for SpaceX. You make an argument. You can make some arguments that it could actually end up being okay for Tesla if it were to eventually happen, but for SpaceX, maybe not so much. And then what do you see? You see a stock which continues to fall. It did a really yeoman's effort last week at trying to get above 119, but it failed. It was multiple breaks. It was putting in higher lows like it was going to go, and then it failed that, and then you had continuation shorts. So it's just the term "it's a short till it's not" is a bit of an understatement here. And I think like every single day when it's trending like this, it's a matter of like what's the level. And after the dump off, it had resistance at 110, which was the Thursday lows. So that's the spot, and then a double bottom here at 108. Right, so like I just like two separate levels. It gets back to prior lows, and I threw down the 108. If it breaks out those prior lows, then I want to take shots at 110. But this is one of those stocks that there's very few days where the buyers are even engaged, and even the days that they are, the next day it just gives it up anyways. So you come in thinking short until proven otherwise. And even after earnings, I don't know that how much, I'm not sure what can be said to make the buyers step in this week. You know, again, I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to say.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively non-event, the earnings call itself. I mean, we're not expecting actually any earnings or anything like that, but you are going to wait to see the tone, see if there's any sort of a timeline that's, when they're expecting. We're looking at the Starlink numbers, right? I mean, those should be something that they can talk about. So we'll look at that. And I think, if Starlink blows it out of the water, I think that'll give reasons for people to buy the stock. And, if they do, Neil was just saying, like, what could possibly be a reason? I think, better than expected numbers out of them. And then I think another reason could be a timeline, right? Like try to figure out like how and when they're going to start actually looking at, some of the launches as a profit and what some of those ideas that they're trying to do up there. And I just think if they can somehow say, hey, maybe this isn't like a 2035 story, maybe it's a 2032 story, then people can maybe start to think, okay, so my money won't be just trapped in this sort of death spiral of spending until 3 or 4 more years rather than 5 to 10 more years. But yeah, I just don't think there's going to be a wave of selling like everybody thinks. I really think that there's going to be some traders and some early founders have already rang the register. A lot of early shareholders got out at like that 1.7 trillion or higher valuations. Like they were trading out of this name before it even went public. Like the people that are in the know are already out of this stock, like, or they're smaller pieces, and they're out of it on, private money. And it's just like, they knew that there was going to be some structural problems with this stock. So unfortunately right now it is downside. Think about all the rules they had to change just to get this stock to IPO, right? I mean, they basically went on bended knee for Elon, and it's just like, this is what's wound up happening, and it's been an absolute destruction of retail wealth. So good morning, Dangler Carlene, and we want to say thank you to absolutely everybody that's here today. We have this consolidated feed, so everybody that's here on TikTok, there it is right there, 15 cents worth of a gift. Thank you so much. The numbers are always so small on TikTok because you can actually super chat very small amounts, but that doesn't matter. We want to just say hi to everybody that's here today. So Neil and I are always looking at the chat, as is everybody around here. It's actually on the big board there behind us. So what's up to everybody that was on there? The Cryptonomic there, what was that name? Right there, Lemons here, Hangry Wife, Kevin Mendoza, Clark, everybody, B. Cameron. Oh, B. Cameron, you're the B. Cameron. That was probably on my Twitter feed. So what's up to that? Some guy, I've never heard of this guy before, Mike something Ryder. What's up? Conservative Movement. I guess we'd have some liberals in here and some conservatives. So Brook Trades, actually. Hopefully Brook Trades is not Broke Trades after a while. But yeah, what's up to Brook as well over there, and everybody that's part of our chat. We want to say a big shout out to you and everybody there today, especially if you are located in the lovely country of Canada. Today is a holiday. So it took me like 21 or 2 minutes to get to work today, and it was a breeze. So we really want to thank the streets of Toronto for being empty this AM.
Quickly, some imbalances did just hit at 925. Their IBIT sell 550,000, Amazon a sell of 380,000, SpaceX a 330,000 buy and balance. Their MUU 200,000 to the sell side. I guess some people might care that AMC is a buy and balance at 400,000, so we'll read it out there. Amazon and SpaceX would be the two ones that matter. There were some massive runners at the end of the day. So just here's a word of advice. When you get crazy moves in the last 10 to 15 minutes on the imbalances, it might skew the closing price. Sometimes understand the range that a stock was in the previous day when you look at it. Like a good example of that would be NVDA was crazy at the close. GameStop has gapped down. An interesting day where GameStop is down and AMC is up.
GameStop actually bouncing a little bit here off the lows, quite significantly off the lows, but still gapping down to the downside here, trying to cut their debt through this stock exchange deal as they continue to try to acquire eBay.
Yeah, Dara, it's quite interesting because they're not going to actually make any money here. It's going to be a debt to equity conversion. So because the exchange notes about $400 million, which are due, in 2030, and then there's another $1 billion that are due in 2032, they carry a 0% coupon rate, both of those. So that it's going to erase $1.4 billion in the debt, but it gives zero cash savings to GameStop's income statement. So it acts strictly as an equity for debt balance sheet restructuring. So just some financial accounting. And the final dilution count isn't actually kind of fixed yet. The exact number of common shares, that's going to be determined, guys, get this, by the average volume-weighted average price over 35 consecutive trading days. And that's going to start on today, the 3rd of August, and it's going to be subject to a per-share price floor. I know this has nothing to do with it, but I just saw this here. Strategy, MicroStrategy, whatever you want to call it, they're selling some Bitcoin again, 1,638 Bitcoin for about a little bit less than $105 million, Adara. So a little bit of a sell there from MSTR.
What are you guys feeling here about GME as we head into the open?
My first thought was, okay, well, maybe if it pulls back into the prior low, it can be a bit of a fade because it's already made the bounce. So anytime you get an offering, you're starting to think about like, okay, well, where is it going to catch a bit of a bid for a relief rally? But I'm just sort of thinking last couple of weeks it had a low around 21.1, so that could be a place to look for the fade. It's a flat bottom break under there on the daily chart. So outside of that, probably not going to trade it. It would have to move. Like you could get up there. It was like 21.2, so it's another $1-ish. From where it is right now, but it's likely more than anything going to be a pass. Oh, well, just because crypto got mentioned, I do like IBIT for a short here today. Bitcoin obviously got dumped with a lot of things on Friday. Can't hold that 64,000 level. So I like 35.8 Wednesday's bottoms and then afternoon highs on IBIT.
Yeah, look, lots to talk about as we get into the open. So we'll just go over a few names. I have SpaceX. Intel was the next one, and I have Apple written down as well. So I don't, Bitcoin down here at 62.7 is crazy. I think Sharif and Randy messed with the temperatures again here because it is freezing one more time in here right now. Yeah, they covered the things with the thing that you can use a key for. 309 right here. Watch out for a dip buy opportunity in Apple. I wrote down, of course, 306. So we'll wait to see if 306 comes into play for Apple today. Just want to see, no real thing. I used it as a 200 period moving average on a 5-minute chart. there. Now it looks like this is on a 2-minute chart for 306. So we like Apple down there long if it can come through. I like the short on SpaceX, and then I also like the short on Intel as well. So we'll have to wait to see if Intel can get. I wrote down here on today's note 91 there for INTC. So I'm going to turn on the news service now and get ready to rock and roll as we await for this opening bell. And this opening bell, of course, is brought to you by VinFast. We want to thank them for all of their sponsorship of the show. And go check them out, VFS, and handle your EV needs. And once again, man, I took the full self-drive all the way to Ottawa, 4 or 5 hours. Didn't even worry about it. It's the best. I cannot believe I took so long to get FSD. All right, so there goes Intel, man. Intel is absolutely getting hit right off the open pretty badly. Again, there it goes, down 3% there. Neil mentioning SpaceX getting hit. So there it goes, man. Amazon hitting $3 trillion right now in market cap. We just heard in our ear as Amazon is shooting the moon right now up to 280, brand new all-time highs it looks like now for AMZN. You can't keep these stocks down for long. And without any further ado, it's our first news drop. What's up, Adara?
Not news so much as I just really quickly wanted to get into what we're expecting from Palantir tonight. PLTR actually dropping here at the open. We're getting earnings after the bell at 4:05 p.m. Eastern, more or less. Here's a look at what analysts are looking for this company. Revenue, $1.81 billion estimate. EPS, 35-cent estimate. Last quarter, we had 85% year-over-year growth. Let's see what next quarter brings. Send you back over to Sean and Neil here, but it's worth noting, again, just seeing more reports that Iran has rejected the latest American offer to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
Interesting, because USO's first move was down, not up. So oil futures actually heading lower here as we speak, but not by a heck of a lot. So kind of par for the course. SpaceX is catching a little bit of a bid as I look down, as I look up. Intel's still lower. Bitcoin's still looking relatively weak. So where is the strength that's catching a bid for the markets here?
Well, here, my guy's coming all the way down here. But maybe we're in a little bit too early. We always say that we want to try to, that's what I said. Amazon, new all-time highs. Amazon there, the first time ever, $3 trillion, taking out new all-time highs. All right, so Apple, there it goes. We said we liked 306, but I don't want to take something in the first 2 minutes. So there it is, down to 306 there for Apple. I think this is a price that we, could definitely appreciate. And I'm going to try just a little bit here. Give it only one. Okay, now it's going to go. Give this only $1. So if it does break back down below 5.0, which is going to happen right now, 5.05, we want to. Oops, what happened? We want to get out of that if it, we put the wrong price. Okay, 305, what am I talking about, is what we want to get out of. We put the wrong price there. So 304.99 is where we want to stop out if this does break. So in and out there by accident on Apple, I put the wrong price. But we're back in it. We're now green on it. Let's see what winds up happening here with Apple. There it is, man. It's your first dollar club right there on Apple. We take it, but again, it's kind of like a false dollar. We lose a little bit on the first one, and now we'll wait to see what happens here. If this breaks 504, we just got to get hands off now. The market is straight down. We were up a quarter of a point, man, and now all the way to the downside. So we'll hold on to some Apple and see what winds up happening there, but it's probably Alibaba on fire too. So
I just can't get over. Well, I just got into SpaceX underneath VWAP. It was Amazon that I couldn't get over that bid. Right off of the bat, Amazon going absolutely ham. Remember, all the cloud names had fantastic quarters. I know we were talking about Microsoft and Google a lot, but Amazon needs to get their flowers as well. So, SpaceX, we just grabbed underneath VWAP. If it breaks out the high, then we got to be able to let it go. I'm offering on iBit as well off the pre-market high, so that's the second stock. No, get that out of here. iBit's too low. That's not going to get down there at all. It was Amazon. Look at this sucker, 283, 4% to the upside, looking like an absolute rocket ship here. But that's not helping some of the chip names. Intel's bleeding pretty bad. I don't know. I wanted that one short. DRAM's not available. DRAM is hitting the lows and continuing lower. So, the chips are taking it on the chin a little bit here as the strength seems like it's rotate back into mags and sell off the chips as usual. It's been like par for the course lately. Just nasty, nasty, nasty.
We're back. It's $3. Oh, man. All right, so this is we mentioned the sticky note for a reason. There's Apple, 306 long. We just covered some at 308.50. So, you know, like this is what we talk about. There's opportunities in this market, man, whether or not it's SpaceX, Apple, Intel, Amazon, you know, or some of these lower float names as well. But there goes Apple. We've made our day there on Apple already. So we'll just, we'll offer some more out here at 308. I mean, how high can we fly? I mean, VWAP is still at 309. So maybe we'll put an offer up there as well. But there's the trade. We took it. And we thought we were a little bit early on the trade, and I don't even want to. We do these videos, we put them out, and you know, try to wait for some time before you can execute into a trade. But this Apple just fell right in. It's not like it was giving us. There's no point in waiting for 5 minutes. Like it fell into the level that we already liked. So we bought it, and there it goes, upside for Apple. You know, it's a big trade, so that's it. We've made our daily goal. It's 935. We're happy, but we're still going to keep going, and we're going to watch out for Intel here, $86. I mean, we wanted a short up here at 90s. That didn't happen for us. I mean, it only got to 89, so we missed that, but there it goes now. And then Neil dealing with SpaceX, I like that one, and I'm just trying to stick with the names I liked there, and that was it. And then the other one we could have a look at because earnings are tonight is Palantir. So it's always risky to trade a stock off of or into earnings. So we'll give this a little bit of breath here today for Palantir. But yeah, man, we've done it there with Apple. Now we'll just wait to see where the next trade is. And, you know, not being here on Friday, I didn't get a chance to see what SoFi was doing. Okay, so back up to 16.5.
Yeah, SoFi was disappointing last week for sure. I think there's some better names out there in terms of running. I don't think that's the one, realistically. So SpaceX might get a reload, but it is now challenging that pre-market high. It hit 106. Now coming back, if it breaks 107.25, I want to jump out of this. Film world saying Meta looking strong. What do you guys think? I think it's hyperscalers that have been catching the bid, but Meta, I put on the dog as a dog out of that group, relatively speaking. Everybody had a better quarter than Meta. So if they've got buyers, then I'd be less apt to be excited about them than others. Yeah, but there goes that pre-market high on SpaceX.
Booyah.
This is one I don't want to fight. Look at the bottoming tail wick. That did legitimately hit 105 at one point if you were really, really fast to be able to snag it, and then now higher lows at 106. So this is not a stock. When it gets going to the upside, you don't want to fight it. So 110 is the next level to wait for on that bad boy as we continue to go. I didn't look at Meta this morning because, again, not really. If I was looking at any kind of Mag 7 name, I think you got to pay more attention to Amazon, Google, you know, Softy, all had better quarters. Apple got beat up, but it had a pretty strong quarter as well. And then the last one, NVIDIA, that $200 level. Try to remember, I know it's making a bit of a crest here. 200 was wild on Friday. It was a great short in the afternoon, and then it double tapped it, well, morning and afternoon. And it's already starting to struggle with that 200 level. So you get to see a false break there. That can be a nice fade. Remember what I talked about. The imbalance levels, like after when I had that buy imbalance, a bit of a different story, what that stock did.
Oh, wow. This Google has been an absolute monster. I mean, there it's 368. Like, what a hindsight trade that was. Like, you know, to say that we bought more at 320 and it made it the largest holding. But, you know, like we should have just put a whole bunch more in that, man. We sat here, like I hold way too many names. I could have just, you know, undiversified and just got all into Google there, but Google absolutely ripping. Yeah, you're welcome, lunch 911. I mean, good for you. We didn't even really mention Meta, so thank you to everybody in the chat, and I guess that's a good runner there, as Neil just mentioned. Meta, an absolutely shit show of a stock. You know, 680 down to 530, absolutely punked. Down to that downside, but hopefully has found a base. I mean, I hold Meta and would love to see that name climbing even higher, man. That is for sure. Alibaba basing out right now, so this could be one of those trades right here where you're now finally starting to give yourself that opening range, right? We talked about that. So Alibaba right now trying to break up or down from 128 into 127. So right now it has that dollar worth of a look, and this is where you could play the break of 128 and then just give it right there to 127.50. So you break through on 128. There it is, all the way to the upside there. So watch out for Alibaba. I'm just going to sit in this Apple for right now. We can watch out for that YYAI. That was a stock
Apparently
earlier today. It is just crushed right there. We had it on our we had it on our watch list there, up almost 300%. Now down to, I don't want to say almost flat, but you know, we opened up at 12 cents. You're at 17 now. So it looks like it may be going that way. The other name there, as we battled back, we noticed that Intel's not really battling back. So almost time to step into some of these ideas that we like, to the direction that we like them. And we liked, I know Neil took a shot early, which is fine. I mean, trading early is tough. It's better to get out than to wait around for something to happen. So we'll wait for SpaceX. I wrote down again 109 short for the SpaceX. It came up to 108 and now it's falling back down. So we can try to be a little bit more patient with that one. And then, its cousin here, Tesla, we can have a quick look as that's going oppo right now of SpaceX. And that's just, not much red in this name right here, up 2%, up to 317. And, I can't speak highly enough about the cars, but I know it's not about that anymore. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening here with
Especially
Tesla.
once they merge.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, the merging thing is like, I don't think you want to hold the stock based on that because we don't really know what the conditions would be, right? I think you'll probably get rinsed as a Tesla shareholder for looking at that because
there's
SpaceX
an outside chance
can have good valuation.
At least based on there was one analyst article I read which
Microsoft.
suggested that SpaceX holders might get more rinsed than and Tesla.
More rinsed. Okay.
No, but it might be better off for Tesla in any kind of an acquisition. That being said, very quickly, that DFNS stock T3 has started to go again. So just a reminder, this gave up almost the entirety of the move on Friday and is a big time squeeze play from last week. It actually hit $100 in the middle of the week, which is crazy. And it is going a second time. Apparently SoFi is at $17.
Ooh.
We'll see.
We like
I think
that.
SoFi had a good quarter and then disappointing results into that quarter. So we liked a couple of things to the south side, which does mean if you make an opening tail top, zoom back in here, you make an opening tail top, we're going to jump in and give it to that prior high. Almost all the same setups from Friday, only this time the market's a little bit stronger. So in IBIT for now, DRAM is still looking pretty weak. Unlike Intel, DRAM just came back and tagged the volume weighted average price and put in a topping tail. So this is also setting up for a short. I thought it was going to be Intel today, but it looks like the memory chips are pretty weak as well. Like, look at that sucker almost immediately right back underneath VWAP. Not going to chase $1 in a candle, but now that you got that topping tail, going to look for 48.5 or so on this bad boy. Oh, just heard DFNS halted.
Yep, DFNS halted right there, 52.10. So another name that has halted. We just took advantage of, again, another move higher. So we'll just go, we have a cap, we'll just go bang for right now. And hey, man, we don't have any breakfast here today, but if you are enjoying breakfast, maybe you want to enjoy it via some nice fresh fruit salad right there. But yeah, we just went upside there. We got out again at 308.30s. So, just keep trying to get in and out of, not in and out, but we are still in right here, trying to work our way out if it does come back upside there for Apple. I'm going to put another offer, 307.70 or so, take another piece there and just not let this thing get too carried away from us there on AAPL. The stop again, 305. So it's a 50 cent worth of stop to take right there, $3. So that was a 6-1 winner there so far on Apple. Yeah, bless you. We'll wait to see what's going on some other names. And anything else you guys want to look at, there's DFNS. We just talked about this one, big halter there. It's been halting. Been a good trade for, this kind of a game for a while now. I mean, we came out there just last week and it was a zeros and then it went up to $80 and higher. Now it's fallen back in and just doing a little bit of a dance today. On the daily chart, you're not going to see much. So maybe you got to zoom out and wait to see what winds up happening here on DFNS. Right now halted at 52.10, tap 52.10. So it looks like it's going to open up where it halted for now. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. INHD, this is another one, low volume one right now, 267,000. This is another one here that could go INHD. I think we've traded this one before. Inno Holdings. Yeah, okay, so Inno Holdings. So another one just recently split, man, back in May, 20-1. So we already had a split back in May there, 20-1, and they're coming back in just a little bit there as my eyes are still looking up to see if anything's really moving around. I don't know what Robinhood's been up to lately.
Reddit's gone.
$86 for Robinhood. Reddit? Yeah, I really like Reddit. I liked Reddit down at that 140 level.
We had a poll based on which stock that got destroyed on earnings last week did you want to pick up? And I mean, obviously, Reddit did pretty well in that poll, which doesn't really surprise anybody. Roblox, maybe not so much. For sure. That one up 2 points and looking pretty strong. The Nasdaq is trying, but And then we were saying the market was flat, and people were like, how can you say the market's flat when the Dow is going higher? Because the S&P and the Nasdaq are more the market than the Dow, everybody. And so you're failing a bit of a breakout here on the Qs, and you got the SPY, like the S&P, I should say, which we're going to show you the SPY, very similar, but a little bit stronger. I think that's the strength that you're seeing over there in Apple, but we're kind of fading underneath that prior high. So I'm going to stick with, we're still already in IBIT, and I want DRAM now, as that's finally starting to re-challenge that volume-weighted average price. 945, we don't have a lot by way of economic data today, but we do have a little in about 10 seconds or so let's go to the desk.
We'll get one more print later today, but we'll start here with this S&P Manufacturing PMI print, 53.8 forecast, 53.8 prior. Should be hitting this at any moment, 53.9. So higher than the expected in prior print by a literal hair. 53.9 versus the prior and forecast of 53.8 for that S&P Manufacturing PMI final. I mentioned another number that'll come here at 10 a.m. That'll be the final ISM Manufacturing PMI print for the month of July. So you get S&P a little bit higher than expected, ISM the more closely watched number. That's going to be coming out here in just 15 minutes. S&P 500 not reacting to this number. Again, the more closely watched version of this print has yet to come, but neither of these are known for being super market moving numbers. No big news to give to you guys unless we have any other big catalyst. I'll see you at 10 for happening now and that new piece of economic data. Back to you.
All right, we could, thanks, Adara. Yeah, you're starting to see the market pulling up here, but Apple's pulling back down. So we'll take another shot here at 80s, but it looks like we are going to lose on the last bit of this Apple trade. So watch out now, as our stop is still at, no, wait a second. What did I put it at? No, 30, sorry, we changed it. 305 breaking down. So it has to break through, 305 before I said before 305.50. That wasn't right. 305 was our stop because that we had last taken a bid down here at 305.50. So I did misspoke on that one. But right there, yeah, now Apple having its way to the downside here right now as the market retraces back upside a little bit there. So yeah, watch out for that trade coming in to the downside. There's Apple. So yeah, that might not be good anymore as we've broken below some levels. NVIDIA now 1% down, 199 looking at 200, kind of flat. Like a lot of these stocks don't look like they're doing a whole heck of a lot. What's AMD's kind of in a range here as well. And I would imagine Intel's maybe the same kind of thing there. And I don't think we're actually waiting for that number, but the manufacturing PMI does come out there, 53.9 versus 53.8. So it's not really a market mover because of the fact is it's as expected. So we'll wait to see what happens now as the market sort of just bumping around a bit. So Intel, nice move. We'd like to get faded on that if it gets to the upside. And IBIT, I mean, again, even Bitcoin right now kind of just saying, hold my beer and let's try to figure this thing out. So IBIT, not INIT, can almost feel my hands now, so that's a good sign.
What? No.
Almost.
It hasn't changed for me, man.
IBIT still relatively flat on the day as well. Apple's trying to mature back upside, so we do take a fill there off of a 3. We got some at 06, and we got some at 75 there. And a nice little out now back into the 20s for Apple. We'll take another opportunity there to get some 20s again, and let's see what happens now with AAPL, the only stock that I have. I like Microsoft. We've talked about how good that's been, up now over 25%. I think since their earnings. I mean, that has been an absolute monster move there for Microsoft, just straight up. People loving this name as they've shown that Copilot is a thing. So now we'll wait to see if Microsoft can get going there today as well. But yeah, there it is, man. DFNS, did it open back up yet? Yes, it did. Open back up to what looks to be another move lower, and then now we get a little bit going. But DFNS right now doing some stuff.
And FCUV is another one that's going as well. But the Nasdaq and the ES are both heading higher. You're still holding the same top on IBIT, but it's now confirmed a higher low because we just got a fill at VWAP. I got another one sitting down there, but you're getting higher lows going into this resistance spot. So if we take out that high, going to jump out of it. The other name that we got to get back to, we took an early shot on SpaceX. But now it's like it just came right back into 108, the prior close, and looks like it wants to make a bit of a jaunt. This is still a false break of the low and an exponential move up. And the last time SpaceX did this, here, we'll show you the update. Like it broke out the top, you had to wait for a lower high. When it put in the lower high at about 1020, which does require some patience, that was the spot to go. Like it false broke the bottom, kind of rinsed people, but then it still was a short, and that was going to be on Thursday. So it's going to be a lot of patience for the second short over there in SpaceX. And as far as the chips go, Intel, that still looks pretty weak. I don't think we're going to look at some kind of a pop and fade anymore on Intel. It just doesn't seem to have the juice to go. Even though the market's higher, this is failing under VWAP. So if it's trend down, VWAP would be the place to go for them. And by the way, GameStop's now down 10% and still going lower. And another one of these 2x daily leverage things has gone kaputs.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so GMEW, or whatever the heck it is now gone. Like you can get absolutely destroyed getting caught in one of those suckers. Because once the stock moves too far, they just dump it. We saw this happen with Lucid as well. And was it Lucid?
Yeah, that was the one that got blown up. It was LC.
Yeah, it was Lucid.
EL or something?
Yeah, the same thing looks like it's happened to GME, I think GMEW or whatever.
All right, same stock, but another dollar. Just keep adding it up here on Apple. We are now up like, it's been just a good run here, just focusing, coming back in here and just focusing on certain names, Apple came right into our level again, and we just loaded back up. So, we got reloaded right live with you guys here on the show. And there it goes, it's working. So, Apple, a lot of upside here. I like it. So there it goes, Apple. I'm going to try to hold out maybe for the rest of the day until we get VWAP. I mean, VWAP's only 308, so I do have some offers up there. I have an offer at 308.80. Let me just get a little more spicy with it here in the 70s just to capture that profit. Like, we just saw Apple make its move all the way back down, so let's not think that every single trade we put on has to be this huge home run. It doesn't, right? It just has to be a winning trade. So we'll do that there for Apple. There we go. We get those 76s now, and now we can just wait to see what winds up happening, and if we can take out higher, great. Thinking about maybe getting the rest out at 307, and so right now for some Apple, that could be a good stop. I mean, again, you don't really want to give everything back, but you still want to have the ability to hold on to something there for a bigger upside move. So just 1 for 1 today on the name, but a couple reloads down there, making it a much more profitable idea than initially it was. I do still want to short SpaceX at 109 if it can get up there. So that's been the top that we've dinged a couple times there, 109 on SpaceX. We haven't been able to get into it, but that's what I'm looking at. Adara, what you looking at over there?
Yeah, a weird post here from U.S. President Trump, but he mentioned Chevron pretty extensively, so we're going to talk about it. He's just praising an interview between Chevron CEO Mike Wirth and Maria Bartiromo, talking about, quote, all the reasons his company is doing so well. But he said that Wirth, quote, conveniently forgot to mention that without the genius foresight and strength of the Trump administration, the oil industry and our country itself would be dead. So weird, wide-ranging, but not particularly long post here on Chevron from U.S. President Trump. Just keep an eye, not really moving here, but I thought worth a mention.
Yeah, just like oil's not really moving either. So, well, I guess you're not paying the $100,000 yet. It'll be a bigger deal when that.
Yeah, if it even gets allowed, I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see.
I tend to think that it's probably just all hype.
Yeah.
It probably ends up being a bigger nothing burger than most people realize, would be my guess. They'll put the kaputs on.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it's not.
I think it's a great idea.
It's not economic data. I would look, whatever. You do what you can within the rules, and you make money. But I just feel like that's the kind of thing that probably ends up overblown. Intel's still looking relatively weak. I don't want to say incredibly weak, but relatively weak. That's still putting in lower highs underneath VWAP, DRAM. Like, the market's blasting, but there's DRAM, Micron, both those look pretty weak as well. NVIDIA's still, it hasn't broken this 200 level yet. It's going to. It looks like it really wants to break out this 200. It was a short there on Friday, but then you saw what happened in the afternoon. But look at all the resistance. Just one good tick, it's just holding at this 80 forever here on NVIDIA. Someone's just selling the living you-know-what at a 199.85. So this breakout really just doesn't want to go. Just a matter of time, I do think. You can't hold this forever.
NVIDIA? No, I mean, that's what I'm wondering, if there is going to be eventually something going on.
It was a short here on Friday. It feels strong.
Big movement here in FCUV. I've got, now my charts are sort of spilling over here. We did. I did notice that. I guess I had Joe here, obviously, on Friday, so shout out to him. And then One was also logged in here, so some of the things are just a little bit changed over here. Shout out to One as well, as we're getting ready to launch our, Kuala Lumpur location there very soon, as we'll go 24, close enough to 24/7 for you guys. And we'll talk about all those dates as they get going into our Trader TV Live universe, of course. But okay, right now, there you go. I mean, Apple is just on one again right now. So we're really happy to see what Apple's doing. Now it's another $2 and it's right back up to those levels. So we're waiting for, you know what, I was waiting for 308. Let me just offer right there and take a fill anyways. We take another one. We get right there, 308.90. So I canceled my 308, just took that fill because we're happy with where this is going to the upside now. What's up, Scott? I know, Scott, man, you're all about SoFi. I remember that even last week. And you actually, so shout out to you, Scott. You called SoFi down there at $15 as maybe being a great swing level idea. And yeah, it looks like my hat's off to you. That's going to be a right idea as SoFi off of their earnings hit pretty good to the downside. And now trying to battle off of, again, like sometimes it's not rocket science. You know, we sit here and talk about trading and how difficult it is, and it definitely is. But sometimes the longer term investment obviously is a lot easier than day trading. And all you have to do is come in and find some key levels on some names that you like, and then, play the game with that, because you can easily get out here at a 15 break. So if you went long at 15, give yourself 30 or 40, 50 cents even, and now you're up $2. So I definitely thought that was a great idea by you, Scott. And there you go, man, you nailed it. So congratulations on that talk there with SoFi, one of the best names right now today. What was it, up 3% there? SoFi 5%. So yeah, even climbing higher.
NVIDIA broke
right there is
finally.
Yeah, okay, good. So you got NVIDIA. So good. Oh, $200.
Yeah,
great
but it's not really doing much with the level.
Okay, well,
yet.
whatever.
It just got to the $0.50 and immediately stalled back out at the half. They need to take more out in front of that half, because this one, after what happened on Friday, just feels like the reversal could be a wild one on NVIDIA, but it's still channeling higher. I don't want to give this past 80s after what we've just seen here. So if it breaks 199.80, then we want to jump out. And if we hold 50s again, then I want to make sure I take some out at the 50s. The high on Friday was 201.80. That was on the imbalances, and it curled right at that level. So it was right there at like 357. The buy imbalances effectively paired off. Well, I just offered 52 instead of like 50. We'll just take the 50 level and then look for 201.5 as the theoretical top. And then here on Intel, we just had a couple of wicks underneath that volume weighted average price, so jumped in under VWAP. 87.5 is going to be the out. That's still a short till it's not following the rules. It's underneath that low, down 3%, so weak relative to the overall market. And SpaceX, I don't think we're going to, again, I think we have to be really patient with it.
Where is it at?
It's at 110 now.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But this, I remember, I'm reminded of Thursday. It was breaking out in the morning, and then at about 10:20 or so, there was the lower high, and that's when you had to wait for the short. Like, let it put in some kind of a top, because this is just program buying going absolutely crazy here on SpaceX. You don't want to fight. We got a super chat from Omen there, but I don't know what it means.
He's saying, look at CoreWeave.
Oh. Well, it's hard to see that when you throw the CRW.
I just imagine that's what it was. Right.
Well, I didn't see the CWRV until I just looked at it there at the end. My guess is it's probably going higher the way things are.
Yeah, I mean, you're in that Intel. Oh, you just got out of the Intel trade.
Yeah, it's one of those hold on to the longs, and like one long will have to make up for all three of the shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Shorts sometimes are a tough one to trade, especially with this market right now blasting higher. Yeah, so for me, that SpaceX there, I was looking at the 109. I mean, we didn't take it, that 109 short right there. But yeah, it is blasting a little higher there. And like I said, man, I think there is some reasons for people to get a little bullish on SpaceX heading into the report. When everybody's thinking one way, it's always the other way that winds up working. So don't forget about that right there with SpaceX. So it's not always, it's probably like 95% of the time. But there it goes. So we'll watch out to see we have manufacturing coming out again as well. So man, I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but we'll do that. Like getting out of this, I'm not going to reload. I'm not reloading this. I only have 20% left of what we had on our Apple. Sure, we've given back that 20% now because it's fallen, but so many outs on this way back up. And I mean, that's literally what I was talking about was I didn't want to give up everything that we had made because Apple just was not trading the way I thought it would. I thought we'd get that 306, and especially with this market mooning right now, that we would have been able to catch a bid there, and there's no bid. So we don't have that, and I'm not going to worry about it right now. Of course, that's going to be Apple. So
that was very fast on NVIDIA.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I mean, the market's here, man. I mean, look,
SpaceX just won another $1.
Yeah, SpaceX. I mean, there's a lot of love back in this market. I was actually checking my account earlier, and I was like, okay, I have some bad trades, but a lot of the ones that are working out continue to work out in the long-term portfolio. Like that Microsoft, that NVIDIA, like some of these names,
Meta,
when they
Amazon.
when they get bids under them, oh boy, do they ever get bids under them? So, all right, yeah, we'll go to Adair for numbers happening now, and then Neil and I,
we got you, Tisha.
We'll come back and we'll start talking about all that.
We got you, Tisha.
What's happening now? Well, in about 12 seconds, we're going to get ISM Manufacturing PMI. Now, if you missed it, S&P Manufacturing PMI, 0.1% higher than expected. ISM Manufacturing PMI, 53.9 is the forecast. 53.3 is the prior print. So we are expecting slightly significant uptick here. Coming in even higher than expected, 55.6. Now, again, guys, the forecast here was 53.9. Prior print, 53.3. I am seeing 55.6. That is a way higher than expected ISM PMI print. Kind of pulling back a little bit here from highs here on the S&P 500, but nothing significant yet. And again, higher than expected ISM Manufacturing PMI print. We have a lot to talk about here when it comes to tech. We've got right now some of these memory names and chip names continuing to be weak, at least at the start of the day, after trading pretty poorly last week as well. MU still gapping down significantly, though, bouncing a little bit off of today's pre-market and this morning's lows here, rejecting 800 right now. SNDK, which posts earnings after the bell on Wednesday, actually slightly flat right now, a little bit performing better than Micron. But again, these tech and semi names are absolutely going to be on watch. But let's talk about a name that certainly isn't weak in the tech side. This is AMZN. This is day 2 earnings for Amazon, and they actually reached a $3 trillion market cap for the first time ever this morning. So good look for Jeff Bezos, Andy Jassy, and co. Let's talk about more earnings on the horizon, specifically Palantir. PLTR led, of course, by Alex Karp. They're going to be reporting earnings after the bell today. I believe revenue estimate of $1.81 billion, EPS estimate of 35 cents per share. Good look here for Palantir bouncing off of early weakness. Let's see if they can continue to push higher, and let's see how they react to that earnings report. We'll very likely be giving this to you guys here on Trader TV Live, so not to fear. I already have an earnings preview out as well on X at TTV Research. We'll send you back over to Sean and Neil for more hot trading action.
Adara, as we come back and we get out, we get out of the Apple, that broke, so we're out of it and we don't need to be back in. And at least we were like, hey man, we are not reloading that one. And I think that was probably going to be a decent decision that we made there. Sorry, I meant to go to this one. This is the new position that we have. So we're just going to wait a couple minutes here to see what winds up. Oops, there it is. We get filled. Couldn't even cancel my bids right there. So we'll take quickly 25 cents or so on this Intel trade. And now we're holding half of what we had. I meant to cancel a little bit, but I didn't cancel it all. So we did get out of half there at 75s. So there it goes, man. Intel to the downside. We're trying to go 2 for 2 here with the Intel short. And again, these are just names that we had written down on our board. So it's not rocket science here, what I'm trying to do. In and out of Apple, and Apple will probably be my number 1 P&L stock of the day. So I'm really happy with the way that one traded. And now we'll just wait to see what winds up happening with Intel, bidding some 50s now. Just ahead of the 200 period, then we'll see if VWAP can come into play just a little bit lower. But man, Intel's been pretty strong. The market's had a good day. Let's go over to Neil and see what he's talking about.
Well, traders, we're going to talk about an offer that your broker is not giving you, because markets have been really active, and that means big opportunities, more setups, and more momentum, like what you're seeing in CoreWeave right here. Mm-hmm. And that's where Trade the Pool comes in, because you need discipline and access to capital if you want to take advantage. So instead of being limited by the size of your account, traders access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account or moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what's called limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's market, then without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com. Scan the QR code you see out in front of you. I want to give a big shout out to Trade the Pool and thank them for sponsoring this portion of the show. And those just we had a couple of super chats. It was
let's go.
one specifically about CoreWeave program buying that just stopped like maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago. That is quite possibly the most obvious like program buy that you were going to see because it's all green candles. And the second there's one red, now it's followed by a couple more. Ooh, SpaceX just gave me the second entry here, breaking back
you got
down.
109, that's what I want.
Gonna look for VWAP on SpaceX. I know we had that other super chat, and we'll get to that. I believe it was, I thought Tisha sent one about Ezra.
Maybe. Yeah, there it is. Ezra room to 540. Just real quickly, and then we'll look at some Ezra. But we got reloaded again right there, and I just don't know, but it is another one. We'll do a little bit of a face slapper there on Intel. So we just got reloaded, taking some more out here as we're falling back in. It's another 70-cent winner right there for INTC, just an $87 stock right there. So we had better than Ezra. We had that talk earlier today. Is there a stock that's better than Ezra today? 64 million shares. Ezra room to 540. I mean, all we have to do is zoom out and just agree with you at some point there, Tisha, because yeah, I mean, you're a chart reader and you know what that looks like. And again, a name that reverse splits. So I definitely don't like this for any kind of a long-term play, obviously, but you know, nice move up there. I don't believe there's news on EZRA there. Adara. Okay, there was.
Oh yeah,
so at 8:30 a.m. If I can I'll just say quickly here, I'll cover it as well in the small cap recap. But they signed a letter of intent to sell their Ultrius benefit consulting business here for $11 million in cash.
Okay, nice. So yeah,
11 million.
Still, it's a short, but yeah, I like that play. And it might not be a short today. I mean, whenever these names have news under them, you know, they get going. So, you know, I don't want to disrespect the name. It's a nice move higher there. But as we see, if I call up my symbol, and unfortunately our charts here do not show the splits, but eSignal will, and it's right there. It's split back in May, 1 to 40, which is why, you know, you get that look on our charts there back in May, right here, boom. That's July, August, that's today, so there it is right there. So that's the split, and we always say be very, very careful of split adjusted names. But when it did do that, it did get to $5. So I think, Tisha, that is a good look. And, you know, if you're going to trade that style, yeah, $5 might be the end of the road for that one. And, you know, like Boys to Men would say, the end of the road, it maybe is a little near 560, 565 right there for this stock. Ezra, good look on it, but yeah, for me today, it's just been pretty simple, straightforward stuff. 2 for 2, we put on 2 simple trades, and now we just wait. I love SpaceX short there at 109. I actually missed that, but there it goes now, 109. So glad, not glad Neil's in it, but glad I'm not in it, I guess, because there it goes, up now 75 cents through 109. I don't know, man, difficult stock it looks like today.
Yeah, well, it's a trend break, and trend breaks are what paid last week, and it's what usually pay all the time. So at the end of the day, what makes you money is what's going to lose it for you as well. And if that's not the case, then you're not trading the right way as far as I'm concerned. So we waited for the level. It broke trend, same strategy. Whenever it breaks the trend, there's the trend line break prior bar, and then the out goes right there. And then we play it back into the volume weighted average price. So it's one of those, the strategy is what it is, and I'm going to be involved every time I see it. All right, just jumping back. NVIDIA, obviously. Why can't I pull this over? Give me a second. There we go. It just broke the prior bar entry there. So it's always a defined level of risk to reward on that particular trade. In that case, it gives you about 2 to 1. So I'm going to take it if it gives it to me. But if we don't get it, then we got to be able to jump out and follow rules. So, I mean, NVIDIA obviously is going to continue going. But the plan of action was to scalp it to that Friday high and give the Friday high some respect because of how heavy the reversal was on that imbalance at the end of the day. Well, they don't seem to care about that level whatsoever on NVIDIA. So it went straight from the 200 into that 202 and then just flashed even higher. Now it's closing the gap. 07, 08 looks like a bit of a spot going back from last week. But this is a wild move here for NVIDIA in a market where the chips really aren't they're not that strong. Like DRAM's down 4 points today and barely even moving. Led by Micron, obviously. We showed AMD's not really doing much of anything either. So, yeah, NVIDIA, AMD's now catching a bit of a bid, so that's a little bit more strength. At least they're going. The memory names, I guess, are the ones that don't want to participate in this move. So NVIDIA up, memory down. It's kind of a weird rotation, but it still is a bit of a rotation, I guess. I didn't see this kind of strength coming from NVIDIA. I'm happy about it because
hell yeah.
Probably have too much bet on NVIDIA relative to its performance recently. So the personal account will be happy with this one. But yeah, I didn't think this would go this far.
Yeah, very happy. Today is a very, very good day. And mad love for Sia over there, who's asking me some questions about investing, because last week I told her that she potentially needs to be in some different names, some more high growth names. So I advised her to pick up some Apple in and around 2 days. So shout out to Sia, looking to change up her portfolio a little bit, or add to it, I think is more what she's looking to do. So congratulations, Sia, on starting to build a long-term portfolio at such a young age. So that's what you definitely should be doing. Okay, so Intel down there, and again, financial advice I'm giving to friends, not giving to all of you. All right, so that downside right now, not that we're not all friends, but we have to be very careful of what we're talking about live on the show. And of course, because we know the situation that Sia's in. A lot of your investing would be age-based and, your risk tolerance state of mind. All right, so my tolerance is just to make more and more of, we're not sitting in this seat just to fool around every single day. We're sitting here to actually put up some numbers. And right there, man, Intel and Apple, so far so good there on this one. And just like SpaceX has been a runaround a little bit, I feel the same way with Palantir. It's like, very, very hard to trade names. Yes, let's go right now on Intel. He's got a nice bid down there. Very hard to trade stock, day ahead of, day after earnings. You don't really know what the positioning is going to be of the bigger traders out there. So, I'm going to be careful with Palantir. It did just have a high of 127 right there. I know a lot of you are looking to trade that name, but it is a little difficult their day before earnings, right? And I know I wrote down SpaceX 109. So I think I still certain I'll trade this today, but I just want to get a little bit better levels. I've been pretty happy with this 110.50 area that we're seeing temporarily right now for that name. Okay, Intel downside, that's a boom shakalaka trade there as well. Bitcoin 63. I mean, wasn't that at 62 earlier when I looked at it today? Maybe I'm wrong. IBIT. Let's have a quick look over here and see what's going on. Yeah, IBIT, nice move there today. So it was a nice little bounce there on crypto, and no reason why that's maybe happening, but it is. So nice move there on IBIT. We'll see what's going on. And then, yeah, NVIDIA's El Fuego and Intel is not. We just got that 87.50 right there. We're getting lighter and lighter on it. Based on what I'm seeing with Intel, though, right now, our stop was always here at 88.51. So again, another 30 cent worth of risk to make, about 60 or 70 cents there. So pretty happy with the performance right now on Intel, but definitely not reloading that one, because that space, although it was much weaker earlier, has really started to pick up a little bit. And maybe it's just NVIDIA. Actually, Marvell's near the day's high.
It's not just NVIDIA.
No, it's not. What's AMD doing? AMD's trying to go as well. So yeah, NVIDIA maybe looks different than the rest of them, but the whole space is. Oh, yeah, it's NVIDIA's way different than the rest of them, but unless Broadcom is also trying to go. It's a lot of the big cap names that, see, Broadcom looks like a POS down here as well. But it's like, look at Mr. Softy. I mean, this name just continues to excel, man. We put this one in. We put Google, Softy, both in that portfolio challenge that we have. They're both working right now. Microsoft, that's been a big windfall for many of you that had believed in the name, right? I mean, those of us that were able to buy down low. I didn't. I just held on to it. But that was a great dip buy opportunity there on earnings. So congratulations to everybody looking at Microsoft in their portfolio today, as well as Google, right? I mean, Google was a good dip buy opportunity there. And I'm glad we didn't hesitate on buying some Google down there. We could still see 320 again. But right now, Google working out. Nasdaq up 0.6. I'm not sure we expected that one. And just a quick check before I go back to Neil. DFNS now $44. So hasn't really halted in 6 or 7 minutes, but 3 halts today. The first one there at 45, the next one at 52. Then we just halted again, 44. And at the end of the day, it looks actually pretty good. It doesn't look like we have too much to panic about here, I think anyways, on DFNS. Just wait for it to maybe halt next and then see if we wind up holding that 42 area. DFNS. Apple's trying to back.
Yeah, it's holding pretty well. The only thing I'm looking now is going to be DRAM, because when the market's breaking out, this still hasn't done so. So it's one of those, the ES is at 1, the Nasdaq is close to taking out the top here. We'll do this for you so you can zoom and see. Good break obviously a lot of strength, but you're starting to come into some resistance. The fact that NVIDIA seemingly is doing this from chipland all on its own does give a nice potential reversal here for DRAM. Again, it's got to trend up, it's got a flat top. If it fails this, break back underneath would be the setup that I'm looking for. Because SpaceX, we're glad we stepped away from that. Look at it continue to go. You can trade it on Blue Ocean if you want. Calling it up right now is going to be completely useless, but it's the first thing in the drop down, so that does happen very often. You're closing the huge gap on SpaceX. So if we're being super patient, I'll wait for 113. I'm not going to be bullish on this stock this week, so it's a matter of waiting for the opportunities to try to get the short. Off the open, speed is everything. If we're being real about it, you had to get that down at 105 on that initial take. But that's starting to get a bit of a scream to the upside. I'm just very skeptical about SpaceX this week.
Yeah,
What possibly could they tell us that would make us think positively about it?
I mentioned to you already.
Best way to put it.
Yeah, I think they could mention. I think they could mention a better timeline. I think they could give people a good idea of what exactly they're looking at and how long it's going to take.
They're just so expensive.
I know, but I'm just telling. I'm just answering your question, right? And I think that they could also, and I agree with you. I think the PE. I mean, they're not going to have a PE. Like they're not making any money here. So, and then I think also what does Starlink look like? What do those numbers look like? I think there's a good possibility. And then also the good news could be the lack of selling that hits, right?
That's the one thing.
Right. Yeah.
So many people might have already sold.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that I think is like a default potential positive, but it's not a fundamental positive. Like I don't know what the fundamental positive can be for that.
Yeah.
I can see psychologically a couple of things.
Yeah. Well, I meant again, I mentioned the fundamental stuff, but yeah, it's just a matter of waiting, I think, to see what winds up happening. I think we're both in agreement with that one there, and you just got to try to chill out, man, and just wait to see what happens with SpaceX. Okay, Oracle, right? I mean, the same kind of thing right there, right? I mean, we can look at Oracle and that name. Maybe this could be a SpaceX situation as well. It's so beat up that maybe it's good again, like Oracle up 4 or 5%. Some of these other names just continue to, look pretty nice for potential retracements back in. I mean, Oracle's right back here into this 140 area that, was a good hold. Until it wasn't. And now you're coming back into those levels. So maybe if you're long at 115, 114, something like that, we could get back into the 140 area and give us a little bit of love there for an Oracle or so. But that would be another name to potentially look at there for Oracle. So oopsies, we're just making some keystroke errors here as we go, of course. Intel gave us, again, another decent fill down there. We just got 87.20s. Down there. So again, just being patient and waiting for something to happen has paid off for us there on Intel. So no more reloads, out at 88.50. We will take a 37-cent hit considering what we've done here for that profit side. So 37 cents would be 30 cents, and I'm not going to reload Oracle. So we'll wait to see if that one winds up happening. And the only other name here that I looked at today was Apple, and not Oracle, Intel. Apple, I didn't write down 304. That was a base there. Didn't really want to take it with the market sort of mooning a little bit now. Just seemed a little tricky to trade off of that news, right? With Apple, just not a great report there. Obviously not well loved. And you can see what's been happening there to Apple since their earnings report. So just ticked out at all-time highs. It now has lost like $1 trillion or something back there to the downside. So at some point, Apple is so bad that
5 trillion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it will be so bad that it'll be good again. So just waiting for that day, and whenever that day happens, I'll be hitting it. So so far so good here today as we just dance around some of these levels. Thank you, Big Scalp. We'll keep trying to win on there. PN, another halted name. So this is another one that we could potentially look at for some get back here. PN, like 15 down to 7. So there must be a story here, Adara. Not that we're worried about you finding it for us or anything, but PN downside there today. Another halter that keeps on going. And yes, Adara.
They completed the acquisition of a company as of Thursday morning, not seeing anything else.
Okay, so a little bit of acquisition talk over there for them. And then DFNS, of course, the name that we wait for that next halt. And then this one just halted. HY.
No, that's the one we know.
Yeah, we know this one. Yeah, this one halted and reopened again. Just a bunch of halts here today. And this one's the most interesting, I think. Again, it's below V. Oh, it's going to halt again to the upside right now. HYFM, so a little halt mover now upside. Looking to halt. Just needs a couple of seconds. You can see when it stacks up like that, the only way that this can unhalt is if they take, and they don't do it there, if they take out that level. So unable to do it right there on HYFN, so resulting in, again, another halt. So HYFM halting right now to the downside, but downside or upside, I mean, it's just been opening up right around there. So the 200 period moving average coming into play. So it's still just short Intel, man. It's just dancing around right now. We're going to give it a little bit more room here, Intel.
I suspect that PN, there's more to this story than
makes sense.
Than just some acquisition. It would be my guess. Down 55%. On absolutely no volume is a wild look. There's apparently a fix for that issue, but it looks a little convoluted in P8. So
I'll just go with it for today.
Yeah, I don't know. I just read what they were saying to do, and it involves. If you're wondering what I'm getting at here, I'll just quickly show you.
Yeah, we were showing it a little bit.
See all this stuff, all this whatever on your level 2. Everything's fine because I can see volume, I can see highs and lows, but it's something in the folder that you can just clean up, which is not that big of a deal at the end of the day. But it is another stock that tried to fail a breakdown on DRAM. That said, I probably got triggered into this poorly because guess what didn't happen? It didn't actually break down under VWAP, but I got triggered in anyways. Probably would have been triggered. I think what happened is it broke the low and I got filled at a better price than the volume weighted average price. So really legit trigger, but I got filled above VWAP instead of under. So it has held the trend line. I needed to close underneath the trend line and break the prior bar down. That's a much better entry than we're looking for. And looking at other chip names here, you mentioned Marvell. It's now starting to go. Some things are only now starting to go, which makes you wonder. If everything else that was not going with NVIDIA catches a bid, does that mean NVIDIA starts to slow? If that's the way we're thinking about it. It didn't close the gap to 07, but it did close the gap here to prior support at 05. So that's one place to look, although I just saw IBIT make a bit of a trend break. We're going to go to Adair for the small cap recap. Still going to hunt for news on that PN. You don't go down 50% for nothing. But we'll see what
it was acquired somebody.
Yeah, but that's an old. No, that story is from a while ago.
I know.
That's why I think
it's
there's
just
got to be
getting
something
hit.
today.
Like it's just such a useless stock. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. There, it's halted again. Just halted again.
It's not gonna. It's got no.
Or reopened. I don't know what just happened, but it's
halted.
there it goes.
Insta halt.
Yeah, right back up there. Yeah, so 9 now 8.
Yeah, instant.
Now 850. Like, look at the spread. You know, there's just no liquidity here. This is a $8 name, and it can print $8 or $9 in a matter of seconds. So let's go back over to Adair. It's 10:20. We'll get a little recap here, and we'll think about feeling our hands again at some point.
Really nice move up here on this first small cap I'm going to mention here. RITR, Logtech Holdings. Worth noting, this company is a penny stock, high of the day here, just shy of 30 cents. They announced here, I believe this is going back a couple days ago, that their Jingxing HK unit has signed an MOU with a group called KNAO to cooperate on smart warehousing and automated logistics projects overseas. This company here is a $10.4 million market cap, 17.3 million share float. Next up, EZRA. This name has been discussed a lot today. Let's get into the catalyst, though. I mentioned this a couple minutes ago, but Reliance Group, which is the name of as EZRA, they've signed this letter of intent to sell Altruist Benefit Consulting for $11 million in cash. $3.72 million market cap, 480,000 share float, and 6.8% short float. Last but not least, the oft-halted DFNS. We know this name rallied and was pretty active in all directions last week. There actually was, though, a bit of a story here for T3 Defense. Depends on how seriously you want to take this. But this morning, a group called Fugazi Research issued a report on the company called DFNS, running back the same ruthless scheme. So that sounds like a short report. DFNS investors obviously didn't listen. This name continuing to the upside, though, as I mentioned, pretty rocky, pretty volatile. $45 million market cap, 700,000 share float, 15.4% short float. Back over to Sean and Neil.
Thank you there, Adara. So we got to 35.8. That was the level we liked on IBIT, which was this prior high. But look at how strong it was initially off that level, and then it puts in like the wick top over the highs, then finally breaking the trend. So yeah, it's short at that price, but it's after a trend breaks. We'll look for the volume weighted average price if we can grab it on the next move down, and then the low of the day would be the plan of action. What's interesting about Bitcoin right now is, for whatever reason, BMNR is weaker. Usually on up days, I'm used to BMNR being stronger than Bitcoin. But for now, worth noting, it's already at VWAP and looking a little bit weaker. So usually what I'll do is I'll pay for locates on BMNR and then trade whichever one is moving in the direction that I like better. So clearly there's a bit more strength in IBIT than BMNR. Tom Lee was on CNBC talking up, well, specifically the usual. Like, he was talking up ETH over Bitcoin, interestingly enough. Well, effectively he was saying that like Q-Day is much of a bigger deal for Bitcoin than it is for ETH, right? Like, Quantum comes around, he says it's less of a challenge for ETH and Solana than it is for Bitcoin. I don't know, that's just his opinion. He probably knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, or much less, but no, I think more.
No, I think he knows.
Of course, he knows more than you do. Yeah, of course. I mean, both of us. You know, this guy's trying to put money to work. So I think whenever you do that, you want to make sure you know what you're doing. There, I just got word that my family was watching. They are no longer watching. So we say shout out to Canada Day again here, as well as not Canada Day. Here in Canada,
holiday.
we have a civic holiday. So the kids at home, and I guess they were watching some YouTube. And we want to give a big shout out to everybody that's watching us today. And let's do a little bit of a roll call. For those of you, if you are Canadian, maybe you can put a little Canadian little sign in here or something. I don't know if they have Maple Leaf or whatever you're able to do there on TikTok or wherever you are, something in there, Canadian flag. I'll try to shout you out if I can see you. But shout out to Juan Padilla, Rusky on the move. Yeah, yo, what's up? There's Joe. Joe's got it right there. Shout out to Joe, Trader TV Live. He found it. Hello from Australia and from TikTok right there. Amare says shout out from Australia. We say, well, yo, what's up? Yo, what's up to Money Clap ya there as well. There it is. Canada says 07K. I'll just look at the screen there. Maple, there we go. Thank you so much, people. There's Tyler the Trader. Put it in number 1 for T. What's up, yo? Laser 1004 is here as well. Ronaldo, there's Yeti coming from TikToks. We say shout out to you. There's Hangry Wife. We know that you are on the West Coast, is the best coast. So shout out to that one. AJ Easy is here. Just not for hip hop, East Coast. What's up to Yo Crow as well. Barry the Blade is here. And see Jason Do. We will see you do some trades, hopefully there, Jason, and hopefully your trades have been positive ones as well. But that's just a little shout out to everybody that's watching. Keep the love going on the show. Make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe ASAP. Let us know you're watching the show. We love all of that. HYFN still doing his damn thing. Again, positive on Intel, but bye-bye. There goes Intel right now, ripping to the high side. And this was another one of those names that I wanted to buy on dips. I pulled the trigger on Google, not on Intel. And, you know, I still think there's a lot of room for Intel to make some moves over the upcoming week. So watch out for Intel. Miss A, what you got?
Keep an eye here on the market and certain companies. I'll pull up Google because they're one of the companies explicitly mentioned here. But the information reporting that the Trump administration has invited several, they're calling staffers from major tech companies like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic to the White House on Tuesday. This is in relation to this new AI framework. They're wanting some of these companies to review this framework. If I do get any details here in terms of who specifically is coming from these companies and, you know, what time they're going to be meeting, what exactly they're going to be discussing, who they're going to be meeting with, if it's going to be on camera, all of that and more. If I get any information, I'll keep you guys posted. There will certainly be an infographic made with that relevant info. But right now, all I know is Google, Anthropic, OpenAI reportedly going to be invited to the White House to discuss this framework that's coming tomorrow, and it's coming courtesy of the information. Also curious about the timing here, and the reason I also say I don't know if they're going to be meeting with Trump is because Trump is reportedly, according to the White House themselves, traveling to California tomorrow. So obviously, you know, he can do multiple things in one day, but I'm curious about the timing of this. If I get more details, I'll keep you posted. Back to you.
Thank you, Adair. I want to shout out to Cute Bunny, who was asking about Microsoft. That's Cute Bunny over there in TikTok. Thanks to all the viewers, wherever you're. It doesn't really matter where you are. Microsoft, as good as this chart looks, believe me, when we get to it in 2 seconds, the daily chart looks even better. But it is it's worth noting the Nasdaq and the ES are both breaking new highs, and you're pulling back into VWAP on Softy. So it is a little bit of a pullback, but look at this since earnings. It is 4 distinctly different days in the chart. Like no chop, No false breaks, just pure momentum there on Microsoft. What makes it stand out so well, I think, for Softy, and again, this service now is not split adjusted, sorry about that, is you've had dips in the software names. Like as you're breaking back out, ServiceNow's up 4 points, but it's selling back off. ServiceNow sold off after breaking out early on Friday as well, whereas Microsoft has been sustaining its gains much better, much better. But then again, remember, it's cloud. Azure with monster growth. I know they got wrapped up, unfortunately, Microsoft, in some of the software moves, but realistically, they've got the much bigger moat. Palantir, going into their earnings, is not participating in any of this. This is the most deceiving 1.8% of the upside that you could ever find. With the market looking all kinds of strong, Palantir, you would think as a depressed name that's already sold would get some relief rally action, but not in front of earnings today. They are not.
No.
Kind of a tale of two different cities when it comes to software. It's Microsoft and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, no, I really like Microsoft at those levels. We had Steve Tileman on talking
good
about it
value.
a little bit. Yeah, I didn't do much about it. I just kind of hung out with it. But yeah, good position. I remember I was long Microsoft $40, $50 like back in the day, and I remember I was like in the 90s, and it was just like not doing anything in the 2000s and Bill Gates and everything, and then finally Satya came through and just really changed the game there for Microsoft. And then of course we know how much Azure means and what Copilot means and OpenAI and all that relationship. So definitely a good looker there. I mean, here's a little bit of, and I know Dara's going to come with her segment, but I just wanted to do a quick little overview here of what we're seeing in just the broader markets today, right? I mean, it's a lot of love in the tech space there. So what's getting hit based on the back of that? You know, Eli Lilly was just at a huge level of 1250, I believe. It's come back in quite nicely. Novo Nordisk had some issues as well recently. So they're back in. J&J down, AbbVie down. I mean, AbbVie, some of these names really aren't performing overly well over the last little while because we have had a little bit of a get up back in some names. AbbVie's high was 270 just last week, and now it's 245. Similarly, J&J is still doing okay. I think it got as high as maybe 270 as well, actually. J&J's high, yeah, 270 as well, pulling back into 250. So another name that I like. And some talk today, of course, with Bristol Myers and AZN. So watch out for some of these levels, some of those names maybe to watch. And I think maybe they're down on that news. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so Berkshire there, Visa, some of the financials back. Look, JP Morgan, if I'm going to sell anything, it may be JP Morgan, but I don't know. I don't really want to get rid of some of the bank names. It's just been so hot, right? Literally on fire, JP Morgan. So that's going to be a good little look out there as a whole bank space. And then here, it's nice to see some of these names back upside just a little bit. You know, we just recently bought some Caterpillar, and has not performed well. Going to have to look maybe at a longer time frame.
Why is Lamb down?
For some Caterpillar, Lamb, yeah. I mean, we talked about maybe some of those machines being trying to build. I don't know what ASML is actually doing there today, but again, in a ADR, ASML trading over there in Rotterdam or in Amsterdam. So ASML, are they down today as well? No, they're basically flat, so up 0.46. That's going to be a good one there. And then nothing's really cracking on my thing here, like DraftKings. I think I just keep getting these warnings because we're racking off VWAP. There's really not much going on. Now it just ticked down for some reason right there, DraftKings. But Marvell, we already looked at that. Microsoft, DraftKings, Apple, BMNR. So as far as the big cap names are going, they're either going or they're not, so not getting much look there. HYFM just halted again, so that's another name that we've been looking at on the halt side of things. And yeah, other than that, man, it's just kind of been a little bit of Apple and a little bit of Intel for me with my best stock. I made 4 times on Intel what I wound up making there on Apple. So that was a much better trade. 4 times on Apple than what I made on Intel. So that was a much better trade. And then Intel came out. And look at that, man. That is mooning. And we actually wanted Intel at 91. So maybe we're getting closer and closer to that level right now. One thing that we haven't looked at, you're on ONDS, so we'll go over to that in a second, was USO. Not too much there today. We talked about some of those tweets and all that kind of stuff going out. That system, I don't believe, is available yet to pay that $100,000, but there goes USO, trying to break through some of the highs, down 6%, so some relief at the pumps. There on USO today. And just like I was saying, man, a little too far, too fast. We're out of XLE right here. So right at these areas. So now it's come right back in. So was feeling kind of bad when it went to the upside there for that portfolio. But again, we put some more money to work. So now we wait to see if there's some more energy plays soon as we've fallen a little bit there.
Yeah, I only have on this us because a few people in the chat were mentioning it. We get to the visualizer, which we haven't done at any point just yet, in just a little bit. But it looks like there is a story for this here. Yeah, former Mossad director joins Ondas, bringing decades of national security leadership to the company. So they added an officer, and it's up 8%. I mean, the market's up, so obviously it gets a bit of a jaunt there as well. So good look on ONDS, trying to break $8. That's a lot of resistance at $8 if all you got is like a new officer there. But let's see if there's anything else to this story, Adara.
I mean, yeah, just in terms of the role that he's filling, I think is kind of worth noting here. So it is going to be global president and chairman. I didn't see this coming through on the blotter, probably because it came out 5 minutes before the open at 9:25 a.m. But either way, ONDS, as you guys can see here, that's about when we start getting this move off the open. It's just continued to the upside. This individual is David Barnia. Again, he'll be global president and chairman of Ondas as part of, as the company describes it, their senior executive leadership team supporting their global expansion and strategic technology development. Clearly, he's got some of the connections there, I guess, with that Mossad background. So we'll have to wait and see how this works with the company. But nice look here for ONDS.
Yeah, of course. And being a former runner, this is one that anytime you talk about like a stock squeezing, remember you can't squeeze unless shorts have a reason to have gotten burned. And in this one, you can really see that 8 to 8.25. Like this is the spot the last couple times it's reversed. Like above 8.5, it starts to get a little bit spicy. There, Tan Panda, I don't know if we've gotten to this one. Shout out to you. Tan Panda, just want to say thanks to you, Neil and Adara, and everyone else. Sean, want to say thank you to you, Neil, Adara, and everyone else there for making the show exist. Only live stream that I know that caters to us low time frame traders, scalpers specifically. That is true. That is the genesis, one of the starts of the genesis of the show. So thank you very much there, Tan Panda. We appreciate the super chat. We got some gifts as well from TikTok. So I want to shout out to Entrepreneur and J-Rod Diaz as well. Yo, Rotterdam. Why not? Shout out to you. And thank you from Entrepreneur, another viewer from TikTok as well. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're watching us on YouTube, TikTok, X, Twitch. We shout out to all the viewers for sure. And we appreciate that super chat, everybody. So, you know, it's been a strong start to the day in the market. It's just a
huge, up 1% now. We were red.
That's why I'm so confused about like a name like, what was it, Lamb, when you put that one up there. Lamb had a great quarter. Lamb was up, I want to say 17% on the day of their earnings. It might have been, yeah, Adara just said, I think more than that. It might have been. I think it might have given some back.
I think I saw at its height 24%, 23% on earnings, but don't quote me on that. And that doesn't mean it closed there either. But that's what I saw that at least once, I remember.
Yeah, it definitely would have closed having pulled back. There's no question about that. Because it got up to like 320 and then ended up closing closer to the $300 level. So yeah, great day for them, but they did sell it off. This one could be a good green to red. I only say this because this is one of those, I'm no longer as in love with ASML as I was before. I think it's competition for the first time. If you're already exposed to enough of AI, why not? And then Lamb bounced right off the 200-period moving average, and that could be a nice little pivot for sure. If you just want to stay similarly in the same space, there's them or there's AMAT. A couple of good places to go. If you think that ASML could be, fighting for the first time in their history, like they've always been basically a monopoly, and all of a sudden China says, hey, we're putting a couple of Chinese companies putting a lot of effort into trying to replicate their high lithography machine technology. Maybe not specifically the exact same, but an alternative, which would be very, very lucrative. Because basically TSM, Samsung, it's guaranteed sales for ASML. And that's how it's always been for them. They make a new machine, new cycle, and they just automatically get big deals. I don't know if that's going to be true forever for ASML.
We have a new position right here now with Intel. So we'll have just a quick little look and see what winds up happening now with, of course, INTC. So we took a fill, and now we're starting to get out of it. So far, so good here. As we just waited for it to make that move sort of into, I wrote down 91. I wasn't sure if we were actually going to get to that level. So we'll just short it a little bit here at $90.25 and just giving it to $90.50. So yeah, let's take some more out here at 8s and so on and so forth. As we get low, I just put, we just got doubled out. It's okay. There it is again, man. And there's just to that super chat. You want to talk about low time frames? We're going to go, every trade we've made so far today has had a positive outcome. So there it goes, man. Intel, wow, we just put this one on right there. Holy, yeah, we've been really hitting some good trades lately here on the program. So, again, guys, thanks so much for watching. And there was $90.25 right there, immediately 40 cents in the money now on INTC. And we still have 20 minutes left, but we'll end the day at our highest spot minus anything dramatically happening now. Let's see if we do get a pullback. Maybe we wind up holding this one just for a bit. But just so everybody knows, right now I am out of 70% of this trade already because we did have a bunch sitting right there at 90. I just took 90. And I'll take it again. Here, let's take it again right now. There it goes. You take some 06s. So we just take another fill right now. So now we have less than 30% left of this trade. And we're going to hold it. The idea was always to hold it to $90.50. So 25 cents worth. We take it out, the majority of it right there. And now we'll wait to see if it dips down. We do have a fill at 80s. So that was already giving us a pretty good one. And here comes right back again. There we go, a bit 87 and see if we're lucky enough to get that fill. But there's another one there on that. So far, so good. And I almost shorted AMD, but I was thinking to myself, we've had better reads today anyways on Intel. So let's stick there. And if something happens, then maybe it's AMD. And I was just going to play off these top wicks, like 480, 481, 482, and then, a little bit more of a violent mover just because of, the price. It's $500. So we got to be careful to see what winds up happening there with advanced micro devices. And then, of course, tonight we get Palantir, and then tomorrow we get SpaceX tomorrow night. But Palantir up 1.2%, so sorry, 1.8%, not doing too much. I know we've
up in air quotes.
Yeah, up, yeah. And then we also do know that SpaceX, has been just cruising upside right there. So like I was saying before, when everybody thinks negative, sometimes it's a positive. So we'll have to wait to see what comes with SpaceX tomorrow night. No, the 4th. Yeah, the 4th, tomorrow night with SpaceX. So up 3% there. Going to be a little violent, obviously, on that day, the 5th. So we'll look out for that. And then the lockup starting on the 6th, where, we'll see if people start to dump their shares. Oh, what I want to look at was AMC, because that
continue to dump.
Yeah, continue to dump their shares. That was right there. AMC has had, so that's the Nasdaq. AMC has had a nice move off of their lows, man. This name was just $1.70 back last month, beginning of July, ripped all the way to $3. So I don't know what your account's been doing in July, but I don't think it went up almost 100%. So that was a really nice move there for AMC. And of course, it just goes right back to a spot where it's almost made that exact same move and then stopped. So there's the exact same move and a stop. And again, good hype over the last little while, right? You had Obsession, you had Odyssey, and now you have Spider-Man. So it's been a good little summer, I think.
Backrooms.
Backrooms. Yeah, Backrooms, another great one there. Yeah, Backrooms is a great one. So that's now going to have to be taken into consideration that $3 may have been some kind of a top right there. I know everybody always wants me to look at the futures. So what's up to top VoIP there as well? I know I've been watching this thing just absolutely take off and trying to find some levels. We'll look for that when we get back. But let's go over to Adara right now. We're a little late, and then we'll come back and have a look at the Nasdaq potentially.
Really strong start here to what's going to be a very busy week. We'll start with tech services. For those who say I never see anything good about Oracle, I will give Oracle full credit for being up 5.5% so far today. And it's not the only strong name in tech services. Google, Microsoft, Meta, all bright green today to start the day, and other names in the SaaS and overall tech services space like CRM, AppLovin, ServiceNow, Palantir, CrowdStrike, all really strong. We're going to get Palantir reporting after the bell today and AppLovin after the bell Wednesday. That name can be really volatile, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. Finance, mostly great, but there are a lot of names that are sharp to the upside. BlackRock and Blackstone both up roughly 2.5% each. And you've got Capital One up nearly 4% today, guys. You've got consumer durable strong, producer manufacturing strong, transportation strong, retail trade kind of strong here, led by, of course, a 5% move to the upside in Amazon, which is a $3 trillion name as of today for the first time in its history. Then you've got weakness in the likes of health tech. Eli Lilly actually had a breakthrough designation earlier this morning. Not really caring about this catalyst too much as it pulls to the downside. But then you've got ISRG, Stryker, and Boston Scientific all sharply green. These are all names that pulled back relatively recently, specifically Stryker and BSX. Then you've got electronic technology, last but not least here. This is going to be a really mixed sector, even within smaller subsectors. If we just talk specifically, for example, about these names within the memory space, you've got weakness in WDC, Seagate, and Micron, but then you have SanDisk to the upside. You've also got Boeing, Dell, GE, and NVIDIA strong, but then Broadcom and Apple pulling back. So this electronic technology space, really mixed today, guys. Back to you.
Okay, we said we would talk a little bit about, what was the name again? We just got a super chat on it. Oh no, I forget what it was.
Super chat?
But we just had, maybe it wasn't a super chat. Oh, someone asked us about it.
There is a
We'll
super
talk
chat.
about it when we get back. Oh, maybe it was it. We just covered some more at 50 anyways on Intel. What was it? What did we say we were going to talk about?
There is a super chat, but it couldn't have been because I think it came when we were up.
No, it wasn't AUR.
It wasn't that.
Darn it, my bad.
No, it was the futures.
Somebody asked. Oh, it was the future.
But thank you, Zach,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the thank you, Zach, for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
super
That
chat.
was a
What
good
do you
one.
guys think about AUR in the long term?
What is that? I don't have enough aura to know what that is.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, Aurora Innovations.
Do you
I don't know, man. The last thing that the last Aurora that I knew about was Aurora Cannabis, and man, I got my ass lit up on that one. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about that, but yeah, Aurora.
I mean,
there.
we'll always be real and say got to look it up.
Yeah,
and give you
long term.
Yeah, give me a quick little second. So I'll just trend break, same usual nonsense. Right back up to the close. Prior close, gap fill on DRAM. So jumped in, wait for it to get to the next level, and then jump back into the short. But yeah, for Aurora, if I'm looking at it the first time, then we'll tell you right off the bat, like this is the first time I am looking at this name. So when you're looking at something for the long term, you should have fundamental reasons for liking it or your own chart reasons for liking it. All we can ever do is simply look at the chart, tell you what we see. I do love trend breaks. So a stock that's breaking out, let's just say, but then has this downtrend to be able to break is good because you got a rounded bottom. Then it kind of makes a break at the 200 period. It's got an upward sloping 200 period, which doesn't hurt. And then you're trying to break back to 50 while simultaneously breaking out on the daily chart. So it's like in theory, you probably have to break 680 to be the real break on the daily, but support here, theoretically support at the 200 period moving average. It's not a bad looking chart. There's nothing about it that stands out, relative to anything that I've seen. But yeah, it's not bad in terms of the chart and what you're looking for. One of the things that I know when you have a smaller company or a name that has been trending down, Brian Shannon would always say, it's much better when you got the upward sloping 200 period moving average. And that's curling right back to the upside. That's a very good sign.
Invoice, okay. I'm just getting ready to submit my invoice so I can get my ass paid. Okay, so just still trying to work through. You wanted to talk about the futures. So if we're going to look at the Qs again, you can look at the NQs. We have the ability here to do all of that kind of stuff as well, right? Looking at the Nasdaq or looking at the actual futures themselves. So here's the Nasdaq futures, and I always try to look and bring it down a little bit, like on a 5-minute chart. So here's 15 for the Qs, here's 5. So if we have a quick look at the 5-minute chart, we've now broken above. So I think that that's something where I generally, if we're above, the week's range or something like that, I really only want to try to look long. However, this rate here, we're not necessarily above. We just got right into, sure, the trend is higher, it's looking great, but we are right now, right here, at where the top wick from Friday. So I actually think that there is an opportunity now to use sort of the 696 in the Nasdaq as maybe our out. If you're going to take a short up here, I think you do have a reason. Like that was Apple earnings, and we saw that move come right to the downside. Apple was down 9 or 10%, and then you do have today a get back in NVDA, and we've been looking at DRAM and SpaceX, and Microsoft's shooting the moon today. So was Meta. So that's created a lot of love back in the Nasdaq, but is it really necessary? I mean, we've already had that Microsoft love. Apple's on day 2, so we looked at Apple. Apple's still at 305.50, so it's kind of just not doing too much. Maybe there is a pullback. You also have Google shooting upside today as well. So yeah, just be careful. And here it is on a longer time frame. You can see I do have the RSI down here. So this is a 15-minute chart. So you are starting to get to potentially overbought zones, but we've seen it again come up to 80, 85 or so on the RSI. So there still is work to do. But yeah, all that's here is right here, right now. So you break above right here, I think there is more upside. I mean, the Nasdaq, based on last week's Fed, I mean, it was been really going. We had one pullback on the day of the Fed on Wednesday, and then it just took off, man. Thursday up day, Friday up day, today up day, and it just looks like the market is rewarding Kevin Warsh and company there for some of their talk, and it just keeps on going higher, even though we know there's a rate hike coming. So market's still getting juicy upside right now. So
is it though?
The market?
The market's pricing in the rate hikes, but there's been lots of analysts that are like, it's not going to happen. I think it was Goldman. Goldman Sachs came out like they're not expecting it to happen. The aforementioned Tom Lee, of course, said it wasn't going to happen, but I roll my eyes because he probably would always say that. So I think it's a bit of a mix. Like the market has been saying, hey, these cuts need to, the rate hikes need to.
It's just the other way. So we already just saw it.
But it's true. Like the market's saying it should be there.
Yeah, like so last week we had this way.
Pull up December. December's actually.
December was supposed to be 2 cuts, I think, or two hikes. Yeah, so there's a chance, 35% chance at 2 rate hikes come November.
That was higher on Friday.
Sorry. Yeah, so 35%. So
that was actually higher than, I think it was.
Stopped out of Intel there as it took out the highs, which is completely fine.
I think it was like 50%.
Yeah, but anyway, so there it goes right there. Fed Watch tool there for December. Looks like, 1/3 chance, 2. I think September, there's only 2 more this year, 3 more this year. So it looks like this is almost the same way we had it the other way, and it was a no. So right now it's going to be a yes, it's looking like. So we'll wait. As Neil mentioned, there's lots of data to come. And
they want to cut back on meetings too.
Lots of opinions.
There's a lot of changes happening with the Fed. Like they could cut back to the minimum number of meetings. I think they have 8, they might cut back I think the minimum's 4 or 6. And that's something that Warsh already wants to do, like less guidance, which means more volatility almost implicitly. If the Fed is indicating less of what they're going to go. We're going to go back up to Adara. It is time for Money Talks, and we have a super chat to get to on the way back.
You guys, I'm probably going to cover some of the same stuff that was just mentioned, but I do want to start here by mentioning something that has nothing to do with the U.S. dollar. IRIB here, Middle East News Agency, reporting that Pakistan has formally invited Iran's Foreign Minister Arghachi to visit Islamabad, Pakistan at, quote, the earliest opportunity. So it seems like potentially more mediation efforts here from mediator Pakistan. We'll have to wait and see if anything comes of that request. Let's take a look here at the U.S. dollar. As of right now, nice bottoming tail candle forming here around prior support around that 99.4 level. We bounced off this level going back over a month and a half ago now to mid-June 2026. Bouncing off it again today and currently green on the U.S. dollar following a 4-day selling streak. Let's see if the DXY can continue to bounce. Now, as Sean and Neil mentioned, right now you've got about a 2/3 chance of a hike and 1/3 chance of rates being held at that September meeting. So actually 3 meetings left here. So September, October, and December. Now we're actually maybe not seeing a rate hike. Again, assuming we get a hike in September, we wouldn't get another one until March of 2027. Last week, we were seeing a second hike potentially in December of 2026. So very likely we're still going to get those 2 hikes. We just might not get the second one this year. Now, in terms of the Fed meetings, the minimum amount that are allowed are 4 per year. They currently have 8. Press conferences. They currently have 8 per year here when it comes to meetings and press conferences. Now, Jerome Powell is actually the Fed chair, to my knowledge and my understanding, when I did the tie infographic, that actually started the consistent, press conferences every single meeting. Before that, they were not consistent. I think the minimum amount they're allowed to have is 4. Fed Chair Warsh said during his confirmation hearing in April that he would not want to have just 4. He'd want to have more than 4. So it's unclear how many he'd want to have, but he would be above the minimum, according to what he said. Either way here's a quick update on that CME Fed Watch tool, as Sean and Neil just mentioned. We could be getting 2 hikes still, but we might be getting that second one a little bit later than previously expected. Back to you.
There you go. So it is 4. I think that'll be great for volatility in trading. The bond market might not love it as much, but the market doesn't care what's going on in bonds right now. They don't care. Does it really matter that the 20-year TLT is breaking down? Does it matter that we're well above the 5% on the 30? Nah, it doesn't seem to matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter what the bond market thinks.
It doesn't matter.
Shout out to one of the all-time greatest. Well, whatever. Like that specifically. There's that on the mic, and then there's it's him or Ric Flair, and I'm trying to figure out who's the best all time on the mic, but it's one of the two. Not the best was that last DRM. We're able to get some out on the way down, but then it immediately broke. At least we had a bit of a tighter stop on this one, but you're absolutely flying to the upside now. And we did have there was a couple of super chats after the aura. It was T was up, was asking us about Tesla. Tesla breaking out. Well, I mean, everything's breaking out. It's way oversold and based over 315 for 5 days. Zoom out. It's now and will do plus 50. I said it before it happened.
It's 50.
50. Well, it's a 300 reversal. I still thought it was more like the 280 level. Just technically would have looked better on the daily chart. But after breaking down under prior support, it just effectively said, nah, $300. And then there's your rounded bottom. Just keep in mind, rounded bottom, how does that work? Well, the 325 is the resistance from that rounded bottom. So that's probably where we're headed to today. So shout out to you, T was up. We have another one from Dragos about CoreWeave. CoreWeave. Sorry, CoreWeave news, data centers ripping. That is all. Peace. Well, nice and concise.
Yeah.
13% here on CoreWeave on the day. This is the one doing the biggest jaunt today. Yeah, CoreWeave definitely takes the cake. Like this is the one that's powered up the most. Oh, my Stream Deck's not working.
Oh no! Oh, you probably didn't open it because.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's my bad. Restarted my PC, so I have to actually open Stream Deck and then I can hit buttons on it if it's actually even gonna open. Did it open anywhere?
I don't know. You'll get it all figured out over there.
There it is.
Yeah, but a big thank you to everybody, for watching us. Yeah, there it is, powered up. All right, we do have only 2 trades for myself. Well, 2 ideas today, a couple different times in and out. Apple long, that's gonna be my P&L number 1, and then we got out. This was a good one, but we didn't. We tried to get at 50s there, got stopped out. So quickly in and out of Intel, but just those 2 ideas for myself today, and both relatively profitable. Well, both very profitable, but Apple much more than the others. So that's a look that we can always consider for next trade as we come back for you guys at 2 p.m. Join these 2 guys to my left of me here. Both Sharif and Joe will be coming through with some heat in just a matter of 4 minutes. This keeps on halting, and I just keep on looking at it, and it just opens and halts again. So 81 million shares, but a little fugazi on that. Like, it's just very hard to trade. It looks like most of the volume there was throughout the open, right? And I mean, as it comes, it goes. So now it's just halting left and right. LUD was a halt. I'm trying to, that's about it, man. That PN hasn't halted since. And then the one this morning that we had back and forth, we had INHD. Inno was one that had looked around for a little bit of halts there, INHD. And then earlier on, we had that YYAI stock that was, again, opened up huge today, if you're here in the pre-market with Mike P. DeRider and company, and now that's down to 15 cents. This had a 240% on our watch list, so now it's only up 17%. Still a nice day. Will the Qs hit 725 anytime in the next 3 weeks? Let me look, and I will tell you. How far away is that right now? 725? Yes, it will. So that would be my response to that one. We would only need, you'd still need about 6 or 7%. I think that's, wait a minute, if we get 10% on this, that'd be 70. So yeah, you'd be well up there. So yeah, 4%, I think so. I think there's a good opportunity for the Qs to get to 725 in 3 weeks for sure. I mean, a settling down oil, could be the play. And remember, it does have memory. So if we can come back up into here, especially with Amazon being pretty hot fire, this is all with Apple being down 10%. So if Apple can catch a little bit, NVIDIA is starting to go upside again, I don't see any reason why the Nasdaq can't be right back to where it was 2 weeks ago in the next 3 weeks. So my answer to that is a definitive yes. So I think that you'd be happy trading the Nasdaq over the next couple of days if you went that way with it. So yeah, my answer to that would be a yes. So thanks for the super chat, and you never know what's going to happen, but I think there's a strong possibility. It's another 1% today. Odds looking much better right now than it was earlier. So yeah, still lots of positivity there in the
especially with what's going on in the bond market. If there's everything depends on time frame, but I'd be surprised if the move in the long end of the bond market continues its trend if we're able to hold these gains. That said, TLT is slowing down. Mm-hmm. Like you are seeing it calm down today. It's what right? Like it's pretty flat. So we're not falling all over ourselves anymore. Remember, this goes down, yields go up, right? So this is yields going here. Trending down is yields going up. So as long as this continues to slow, that would be good for the market. But I tend to be in the camp that you can only ignore what's going on in the bond market for so long. And one of the things that we haven't talked too much about is this intervention in Japan is not a small deal whatsoever. It shows a lot of concern if they were to sell U.S. Treasuries. So like there is that overhang in the markets, but oil down is going to be a good sign. Monster earnings have been a really good sign as well. And remember, every single mega cap tech company has had what you have to consider to be a good quarter. The only one I think you can maybe pick on would be Meta. I don't think you could say that about, you can't really say it about Apple. Maybe you can call it mixed. I think it was pretty good. It was services that missed, but the underlying pretty strong there as well. And then all of the cloud names did fantastically. You can't really say anything negative there. The earnings that come this week probably don't matter as much to the overall market. Like SpaceX, we care about. Palantir, we care about here individually, but they're not the kind of names that I think are going to cause the market to do much of anything, especially with Palantir tonight. And Palantir, even here, like it's up 2 points, but it's still not breaking up with the rest of this market. Nasdaq continues to go higher. ES continues to go higher. Palantir, I guess some people are hesitant going into earnings tonight on this bad boy.
Yeah, and for good reason. I do not like trading anything earnings
the day
one, day two of earnings, unless it's a long-term idea that you have. Walmart actually falling pretty nicely here as well. I'm still in Target, and I was actually thinking about now, whoa, what the hell? Okay.
What the hell is even that?
When I saw Walmart just tank city there, I thought Target would have been south of 140 right there. But you want to talk about a winner versus a loser, man. Target got that W and Walmart got that L behind it right now, because this name is just blast city there for Target. Like I like Walmart. I may just get out of Target and try to grab some Walmart, but you could clearly see this stock versus the other. They are not made equally right there. This is what Walmart looks like. Walmart down 30% or 20, 25% from its highs. Meanwhile, Target is flipped upside down on that one, just ripping right there through some of these highs. So Target, man, great opportunity there. And I know they get a lot of my money every time we are down south. And a name that these guys might want to look at just for some interest there, IonQ, has just ripped. Yeah, look at this one, man. $35 up to 40, up 10% right there as Quantum.
That was on the watch list.
Yeah, Quantum being talked about. Yeah, that's what Sharif was mentioning there about the levered ETFs. And IBM, my favorite Quantum play next to Google, IBM. So watch out for that.
I think it was on Friday, the CEO of IBM, maybe it was Thursday, the CEO of IBM came out and said it will be a material difference maker to our revenues by 2028. That's a big deal. That's a big deal for IBM if that ends up being true. Trust me, that is as real as it gets for any name out there, and you haven't really heard any substantive talk about that. So yeah, IBM, great play.
I spy with my little eye Brendan in the background. So what's up to Brendan there?
On camera for the first time in a bit.
You get that, Where's Waldo? You know, where you're trying to find the Where's Waldo? I found him over there. So what's up to Brendan and Sia and everybody? You're about to get ready to rock and roll with the midday crew. So, all right, good show today.
We got to make our own lunch.
That's right. We got to find lunch today. So yeah, go out there. We'll find out what Neil's gonna get. We'll find out what I'm gonna get.
I went to that shawarma place last time.
I like that
across
shawarma.
The street.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. They have little poke bowls and stuff right here. It's pretty good.
Oh, from the
one that used to be the Freshie, right beside the Tim Hortons.
What are they called again?
It's called Roll Nation or Rolltation.
Rotation.
You like that too, right, Adara?
I enjoy a good rotation moment, yes. I've already ordered my food, though, so.
What are you getting?
Eviva, because I'm basic and I like a good Benedict moment.
Yeah, that's my, shout out to my lovely wife, is always getting a Benedict wherever we go. All right, ciao to everybody. We'll see you. We'll talk about lunch then. These guys over here, no carbs, guys. Nope. See you later.
I gotta mute that bad boy.
Boom, boom.